Hello, Brian Hacker. How are you?
Good, good. How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. Long time no see.
Yeah, yeah, it has been a while.
Where are you in the world?
I'm in New York City.
Really?
Can't really see out there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Flatiron area, New York City.
It's hard to imagine you in New York City because you've always seemed like you have such a
Yeah,
SoCal
for sure.
presence, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. No,
is
my wife is from London, and she wanted a big city. So originally we are going to move to LA, kind of right when COVID hit. But then it seemed like there was some opportunities for different stuff out here, and rent was finally cheap in New York. It's like first time ever, so we came out here.
I mean it's the best city. Do you see the people that we knew back when? Do you see anyone? Like
Yeah,
it yeah.
I see Chris Bakula relatively frequently, and I see John Finkel and Landy Ho in the movie
Oh
club,
nice.
um, occasionally outside of that. And then sometimes you just bump into random, people just because it's New York. So yeah, I've seen some people from back in the day. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I talked to Lan. Lan has the record right now for the longest call. I think he thought I was going to cut it down. And that he would give me all this great material. And then at the end, he's like, you can use it for whatever you want, cut it however you want. And I was like, cut it. It'll make me giggle that people get a 3 hour and 40-minute land host session. Like they should be thankful for that. I wouldn't cut that. That's conversational perfection right there. Anyway, that's your target.
Okay, okay.
Three.
I'm gonna text my wife. That might be a while.
I will have to do the same. So. um, huh. Yeah, I guess there's so many things I want to know. How do I know you? Who are you? Those are things that are good things to start with. Maybe B than A, but who are you, Brian?
Yeah. Who am I? Well, I guess in this context, I was. It's funny because I don't think of myself as the first generation of Magic players, but I probably was, I guess, because
Yeah.
probably it's like as time goes on, first generation doesn't really mean like first 3 months anymore or whatever. It kind of means a longer span of time. So, and it's kind of weird because I think that was probably a time where there was larger edges that things weren't as known. And so I did, I'd say I did pretty well. Like I kind of have a couple random um, things that are unique. I think I was the number one ranked player on the first ever rankings. And I
Cool.
think I haven't kept up with Magic, but I was thinking about it recently. I think I'm the only person probably in Magic history that got a card banned where I was the only one who played it at a pro tour. Or I was the only one who played the broken deck, which was Yawgmoth's Will and PT Rome. So that was kind of cool things. And so, but also I think I was a bit of a culture setter in Magic in the early days because of writing tournament reports, and I also was the first person to do, or I think I was. Maybe there was someone before me doing color commentary in like the closed circuit, and also there were some opportunities with like I kind of randomly got uh Magic onto MTV once.
Yeah, you were
Trying,
on TV. You're famous
yeah,
beyond this chat.
yeah, so that was all cool stuff, and I was part of a team called Team Dickhead,
Mhm.
and yeah, we had our a little moment in the sun. So yeah,
Would you rename yourself in retrospect?
no, 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 definitely not, definitely not.
You've had 30
No,
years to think about it. Like, what was the second name? Was there ever a second name, or was that it?
there was no second name. No, what happened was I was we kind of knew that we were going to be a team, but we didn't have a team name. And this was back when you could play as pros. Like if you're already qualified for a pro tour, you could still play in the qualifier, which was really nice.
Mhm.
And so Truck came up with this idea, what he called the Deadpool, which was that we would assign points to various people that were in the qualifier to qualify. And if you beat them, you got a corresponding number of points. And so Truck was coming up with the idea, and I was workshopping it with him. And John Yu like came over, and then we were explaining the idea to him, and he said, "Oh my God, you guys are a bunch of dickheads." I was like, "That's our name. That's our name." Like, especially because at the time, like we kind of thought like Civic Coast Legends, which was the established
Pretty
team.
snotty name. It's a pretty
Snotty
snotty
name, yeah,
name.
yeah. So we were like, okay, we're gonna be punk rock. We're not gonna be corporate. So, um,
You were better liked than that Pacific Coast Legends team. Like even the likable members of that team have a stain. Like Mario is very likable in person, but like because he's
yeah,
part of that team, even 30 plus years later, it's like no. Sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Well, it's funny. It's funny because you don't, when you're young, you don't think about like corporate sponsorship and like how this is going to play out. You just like you're doing your thing at the time, and in some ways, I kind of I prefer that. It was like I would definitely like when I made the top four in Dallas, I had no idea how much money I made. I think until I bust out basically until I was out. Like I really was not thinking about that at all.
It's not helpful
Whereas
to
like
you to think about it. It's like
no,
the
no,
opposite
no,
of helpful
yeah.
now.
Yeah, yeah. Despite the fact that that money was very significant to me at that time. Like now, if I'm in a poker tournament, I'm very, I know exactly how much money it's going to be if I go up the ladder, but I didn't know it all at the time, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm going to talk with a couple of the people from the Pacific Coast Legends if you want to essentially do the Mario Kart thing where you drop some bombs or bananas behind you and you want to send some
Oh,
coasters to Henry Stern or Frank Gilson.
yeah, yeah,
Only when it comes to you. Take your time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. I mean, it was funny because I think at the time, like when all those tournaments were happening, and I think like Henry made like a top eight early, and then like Preston made like two top eights early, and like
Mhm.
we were just like, speaking frankly, we were like, what the fuck, man? We're fucking way better than those guys. Like, we just didn't like we just, and so like I just think we thought like we're just better than all these guys. Like, so I think there was kind of like um that gave you some confidence because it was like guys that because the thing is you can only play who you see. You can only play
Yeah.
the guy in front of you. And so when you played someone and you've beaten them, it's like you're like, okay, that guy's not like a god; he's a human. He's the same as all of us, right? And like if we can beat him here, we can probably beat him in a pro. And so and also I didn't even know that Pro Tour One was happening. Like it was just something that like all of a sudden I had heard had happened. I think, and I was like,
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
hell happened?
I don't
So
remember you being there. Right. So,
I wasn't, and so
no,
like
that makes
I
sense.
had
Makes sense.
yeah, my first pro was Pro Tour 2, and then Pro Tour 3 was the first one I cashed. And so, yeah, but nevertheless, like you're kind of like you're thinking about like you know it's like real hard to tell how good you were. Like, and even that story where I said like I was the first number one ranked player. Like when I remember, I didn't think I had a chance of that. Because
Hmm.
just when I was playing, it's like I wasn't like winning the tournaments and stuff. But I think one thing I always had in my career was that like I was really hard to beat at any point you saw me in the tournament. Like I was like very consistent at like at least being in the conversation. And so I was making it deep in a lot of tournaments, but I wasn't winning any. But then when the rankings came out, it was like I remember Scott Larrabee reading it off, and he was like, and when he was reading it, he was counting down, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm not even in the top 10. Damn. And then like he's like number one, Ryan Hacker in it, and I was like, whoa. So like, yeah, it was kind of, but it was kind of like, it's kind of like back then you didn't really know like how good am I? Like how, so that was like a nice little confirmation. And then like finally when you top eight, it's like, okay, I beat Ola Rade and I really respected Ola because I remember when I saw him at Pro Tour 3 at Columbus, like he did something that I had never seen someone do. And it's weird how you're trying to pick up like these things because there's so few players that you can watch and pick something up on that would be interesting, like can teach you something. And so like when I was watching Ola, I remember he was like playing like in the most relaxed fashion I've ever seen, like just laying back in his chair. He had his legs crossed. And I mean, me, I was like all intensity. I was like, Gary Kasparov, like, I was like, just like fucking all intensity all the time. And Ola was like super relaxed. I was like, I never thought of playing in that way before. Like I'm gonna fucking copy Ola. I mean, watch this. This is cool. I'm gonna try it. And and so like and also in that same Columbus tournament, that was where I met Hammer.
Mhm.
And I was kind of just like I'd seen how well he did in limited, and I didn't understand limited at all at the time. And so I was like, I want to watch someone see what they do. I remember he was doing a one-on-one draft. I think it wasn't like Solomon or anything. It was just they were just pick, 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 and with one of the fringe WotC guys. And I was watching him, and then he was taking like all these cards, and I was like, what the hell's going on? Why is he taking this? But it was weird. Just watching someone who is drafting a deck rather than a bunch of cards was like a revelation. It was like,
Yeah,
oh, and
yeah.
you see how it works. Yeah. And so like I learned more watching Hammer for like an hour than, you know, I learned from like playing in tournaments and all kinds of stuff. I was like, oh, okay, that's what I need to do. So when you pick up stuff like that, it's like it's really, really helpful to your game.
Yeah, I had a memory of, being at neutral ground, the first one, and Finkel's in, like, a totally different John Finkel than the one who exists today. He's,
Oh
like,
yeah, for sure.
14, he's got huge glasses, and, like, he's making his Ice Age Alliances sealed deck, and he's just kinda talking through it, and I'm like, I became a much better sealed player after that hour, just, like, riffing with him on what he was thinking and
Yeah.
whatnot. It's, like,
Yeah.
really fortunate to have that type of opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, when John was like, I remember because in Brazil, uh, that was what do they call the invitational, or I can't remember, the All Star game, whatever it was, the 64.
Yeah,
And so
TC, yeah,
so
invitational.
yeah, and so Zila was supposed to be my roommate, and then like his dad didn't let him come, so like I had an empty room, and then Scaff ended up getting it, so I met Scaff that way, and like we were hanging out and talking all night. But what was funny was like John and I think Steve OMS came to the tournament. They were playing in like the side event, the Grand Prix, basically, which was the main thing that people were there for. And but like I needed a few decks built, and so like John was like, "Oh, I'll help you with these decks," and I'm like, "Cool, I want to go out and party in Brazil, so I don't, this is great. Make my decks." And so what's funny was he was like, it's funny how like the people that are coming up, like the way I saw Hammer coming up is probably how I've never talked to John about this, but it's probably how he saw me, right? Because I had like established myself and I was like
For
this,
sure.
like, right. So like I'm like the cool older guy that already had some success. And so then like a year later, right, like John is now like John, and he's like
You have to
he's
make his
playing
you have
in
to
the
make his
invitational.
decks. You can't get
Yeah,
his
yeah.
bags
Like
onto the
now he's
plate.
like yeah, he's like now he's at my level or above it. And so it's like shit. But yeah, it was crazy.
What did you play in that Pro Tour 3? It was a
That
weird
was
one because, like, Pestilence was there was a change to the rules right before the tournament, and people couldn't change their decks. So the way damage worked ended up being, like, for some reason, people were playing, like, the Pestilence card and trying to game it and, like, trying to use Circle Black to prevent all the damage, but they had to pay for each instance, and so the
oh
whole
right.
format ended up being completely borked, but, like, my
Yeah,
brother
it was
and
strange.
did really well, but
Yeah. I
what
I
did you play?
played I actually worked with Alan Comer because he was like the only local guy I think that was qualified. Like in San Diego, and so he came to, hey, you want to play this? Sure. And so he had, and much to Alan's credit, he had figured out how good. And I'm sort of bad with remembering the names. I can remember like all kinds of things, but the names of cards, for some reason, I can't remember. But this was it like Falling Glaciers? Is that what it was? So like
Oh, yeah.
you, so he figured out that Thawing Glaciers was good, and we had like this slow like red white that would eventually like make a bunch of guys and kill you. And it actually was pretty good. And I think I got a little unlucky. I made top 64, but I think Alan was like better. I think he was like top 32 or top 16. And I think I remember that I ran kind of bad. I took like a few beats in there and I could have finished a little bit higher. Um, but and we didn't really know what we were going to be playing against. I think we assumed the environment was going to be slower than it was, and that was kind of a mistake. So um, yeah,
Yeah, I really like that format and the Pro Tour One format. Like they didn't come back exactly because I guess they go forever. Maybe people play them at posterity, but like the Pro Tour One format where you had to play these with these weird restrictions from each set was kind of neat. And the Ice Age Alliances format was actually just really weird. And it evolved like pretty meaningfully in its Pro Tour qualifier cycle. I guess nowadays they just get to the end in a day and it's boring forever after. But back then I thought it was like a really interesting block to build with.
yeah.
Who is the, I don't want to sit, who is the best on your team? Who is the biggest dickhead?
um,
I regret saying it, but also don't regret saying it. It's just
so
true.
the
It's
best
just the name.
Magic player all around was me, and I think the
Mm.
other guys would that too. It was kind of weird because I was like truck like it was very interesting when we kind of like I would say that the second Long Beach is where it kind of came out as like, okay, we're gonna be a force to be reckoned with because like I made top 16, both John and Truck made top 8. And what happened, and that was a very weird one because it was 4 months, I remember, between whatever the pro tour before that was and that Long Beach. So we had a lot of time. And John had just gotten a job. So John was like, couldn't play test for like the first like 3.5 months. So Truck was like good at just figuring out like kind of like what was powerful. He wasn't quite as like technically perfect as a player. He was very good at figuring out like what the first like things to be paid attention to in drafts for power. So he started drafting like the black red stuff. And what happened was because he was doing well with it, it was sort of people were copying him and it was speeding up the environment. So people started to play faster. And I was good at like more like what what are people not playing that can beat that and is also like competent against like what you might also see. And so like I noticed this card undo was like I noticed every time I played this card undo, I'd win. And so I was just like, okay, and so I actually said something that like people quoted me on, and I actually was too big a loudmouth on day one of that tournament. But I was like, I take undo over torch, and because I was like, I don't always win when I draw torch. I always win when I play undo. And so
Yes.
so we started playing,
Me
and so
too.
I was beating like I could beat Truck would like have the best like deck, but then like I would have a deck that beat Truck, and then like if he didn't play me, he often would win our little drafts. And then if I did play him, I'd beat him. And I'd usually win if I didn't play him anyway, just because like, and so, and then with like 2 weeks left, what happened was John came back and John isn't as like, I would say as like good at understanding like the metagame stuff or breaking it down as Truck, but he is a much more technical player. And so the thing was Truck and I both like, were like two guys, two senseis in the dojo, just like slapping his hand, like, no, John, you're going to do that. No, John, do this, do this. So Truck was like teaching me how to draft. I was teaching me and do stuff. And then with play, we were like, you got to go fast. Everything speed, 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 tempo, tempo, tempo. So by the time and then also my problem was, we had done so many drafts at this point because it was the full 4 months that actually towards the end, I was noticing like everybody was copying me, everybody was copying Truck. So I wasn't able to get my undos and like my little blue white flyers
Yep.
as easily. So then I was like, is there a third deck? And then I noticed there was like, I could actually build this sort of like weird, depending on the pool, like this green, white, red that was like just clog up the middle. And it was like, there was like that O5 wall. And so you could use that for mana. And often that would end up getting undoed. So you could like, it would like, you could just play it again. And it would
Accelerate your recover.
yeah. And so like and then also there was that 4/4 that had like protection from black, I think.
Yeah.
And
3GW.
destroyed like the black red decks because I couldn't kill it. So like so between all those, like I was like, oh okay, there's this other deck here. So then I was like starting to figure out that. and then like the tournament started. And so I think like literally the tournament started like 2 weeks before, even though I did top eight, I did top 16 and I was barely off of top eight. I think actually I would have been better in that tournament had I played it like 2 weeks before because I was actually experimenting with like drawing second because in like green, white, red deck, it actually I was wondering like it actually sometimes might have been better to draw second. I think. But anyway, so the first day I went 3-0 and I was being like a loudmouth and stupid because I was kind of telling everybody, like people at this point, for some reason, I guess I'd been around enough that people kind of like, and also because I went 3-0, people were like talking to me about stuff. And I remember telling Justice, I was like, no, people don't know, but like Undo is better. I think is the best card in the environment. And then, so
It is
then
a
that,
competition, Brian.
yes, I know. Yeah, yeah.
It's a good learning lesson. It's like,
It was. And also what was really funny is the dead guy group. So like we were talking to them before the tournament started. And it was so funny because we I felt pretty confident about what we were doing. We were very well prepped. And when we
yeah.
talked to them, I was like, oh my God, we are going to destroy this tournament because they were talking about every game was like they would just play a bunch of creatures, and then someone would play Crash of Rhinos, and then when someone would play like the 0/0 or the white enchantment that like protected, and then it was like I was like literally you could last pick Crash of Rhinos no one was taking it in Southern California, like nobody. We call it like trash of winos because it was just yeah, like we were just like, are you guys kidding me? Like there's no time for that, there's no time for that. And they were like, what? And we were like you try like you try that shit. And so
Mana Wars and Undo are commons. Like, what are you doing?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And this black, like, two flanker for two, like, plus like everything on top of it. So anyway, so that tournament kind of blew the doors off. And I think that was where we kind of like people are like, okay, we got to pay attention to these guys.
Is that the Mills one where he gets banned or he gets disqualified? I think so.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds right. And that was a very weird draft because I think either Chuck or John would have won it, but they ended up in this very strange environment where um Mills or Mike, I can't remember. I think it was Mills was taking the black cards that were worse, but they didn't get affected by like Dark Vanishing. So like
Hmm.
Truck and John, look at their decks, they're actually better. But the problem was they were getting hated by the other side, and the pool actually was so strong that it worked out for Mills because if the pool was weaker, that wouldn't work because it's like okay, yeah, you got Dark Vanishing, but then you're like playing crappy creatures, But it worked out because the pool was so strong that like he got his cake and eat it too,
Hmm.
Um,
He would
so
have won.
yeah,
He would have pretty easily won that, I think, in the end. It was a really weird finish. I was on the other side. I actually, so the reason like I met Tongo was because my brother was playing in a pro tour and my dad had partnered. He was like at an event, he talked with Mike Long. He was like, hey, let's all get together. And so my brother Jeremy and I like had to chaperone Justin to practice. And it ended up being this really fortuitous like weekend where we're spending all this time with another group that's like extremely strong at limited. And that was definitely one of those similar to what you were describing earlier, where you spend an hour with Hammer and you're like, whoa, all right, I'm much smarter than I used to be. That was that for me. It was interesting. Like Mills was incredibly good, I thought, for that tournament. He had a really interesting magic mind. It's like funny. He didn't play that much, right? He didn't play very long. Um, but his success was really like clearly he was he's not an all-time great, but if he had an exhibit in the Hall of Fame at some point, you'd be like, "Oh, okay, so that kind of makes sense." He's like a Addy Joss. I don't know what the baseball comparison is. He's in the Hall of Fame, but you know what I mean? Or like the Birdman, the guy from Birditch, if you know that guy, baseball reference.
I don't follow baseball much. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was funny because like that, going back to Mike Long and how bad the judging was back then. So Mike was another person who was on my radar as like a good player, and we had kind of talked a little bit, and so I was kind of watching him and trying to pick up things from how he played. And I think it was U.S. Nationals right around that time. Was that at Columbus as well, or
I think it is. Yeah, it's the one that
Yeah, yeah.
Baxter wins, right? I think.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And so so I'm watching Mike, and then there's like one or two rounds left, and he says, "Oh, for this round, I just want to concentrate. So I'm just gonna be off by my own." I was like, "Okay, man, cool." So then like round starts. I notice like Mike is all the way in the back. Like there's a good probably 5 rows between like where all the players are playing. He somehow convinced his opponent to go play like pretty far away. So I'm watching this. Then I watch Mike sitting on top of his chair, looking down over his cards. I'm like, okay, I see what's going on here. So I'm like, all right, this guy's fucking guy's cheating. What a piece of shit.
he's a weird. He's a weird human
So I go to
for
the
sure.
judge. And at this point, I had been very friendly with Mike, and I was like, I liked him. And then when I saw this, I was like, okay, this isn't cool. So I go to this judge. I go, hey, you see that guy in the back, right? I think that guy back there is cheating. Like I think he's looking over his cards. So he looks over, and when he looks over, Mike isn't doing it. Like he's just it's his turn or whatever. He's looking at his own cards, right? It looks more legit. And then he turns back. The judge turns back to me, and he says, I could go back there and watch their game, but there's only 2 people playing there. Whereas right here, I can watch, like 20 people playing. And I was like, that's the worst answer I've ever heard. Like, so I was, yeah. And that was just the beginning of like all kinds of judging problems that
Like
I see
Mike,
and be a
Mike,
part of.
Mike wanted to win way too much, but was there a player that embodied like wanted to win the right amount? Like if you were like anyone who wanted to win more than this person should have been banned. You know what I mean? Uh,
I mean, I think like the people that I think just had really, really good competitive spirit, like, um, and so I think I always really respected people like that. Like they could be down in a game and they wouldn't give it away, or they wouldn't give away information. So like I like John you was like that. I think I was like that. But I think like people
mhm.
from outside of our team, like I always loved Gabe Sang, and he ended up becoming
Yeah,
a team in. I like Gabe Nassif. I thought I really always liked the way he played. He was like always in it. Um, it's kind of weird because like the it's funny because I remember what this is kind of jumping a little bit forward, but one of the things like because I was thought like the other people that were like smarter than I was, or they were like they were like they were less prone to blunder. Like I'd say like Billy Jensen and like Finkel especially, they were like really really good at like just never blundering. And
mhm.
then, but one of the things or and also like Zvi and Kibler, I always thought like, geez, these guys are really smart. Like
Yeah.
and then I remember I played both of them in like within a few months, and I'd never played them in a tournament, and I played both of them, and it was very funny because both of them did the same thing against me, and they both lost against me for the exact same reason. I was playing Zvi, and this is when I'm in my mode where I am just full blown. I'm completely in it. This is like I'm dying for this. I'm like practicing all the time and really trying, and it was limited, and Svi was giving commentary about the match while it was happening. He's like, okay, you
Mhm.
played that, and if you so like now you're probably looking for this type of card. I think I saw you draft it, and and then it was weird. He just gave a tell. It was a situation where like if I attacked and he had like some trick, it actually was pretty bad for me. So I was kind of like I couldn't attack as aggressively I thought as I wanted to. And then he said something where he's like, I played a guy, and he's like, oh, okay, now I'm going to need to draw a blah. And he didn't really need to draw a
Yeah,
blah
that's
for
a
that.
mistake.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, here comes everybody. Like, and so, and Kibler did a similar thing. And this is before I think Kibler was at his like apex, 'cause I think he was still on the way
Hmm.
up, and he hadn't like maybe gotten his like competitive spirit quite as good as it would be later. He did a similar thing where I was like, somehow I made him nervous or something, and I was like really really focusing, and then he just started like talking, I think to calm himself down. But as he was talking, he said some things that I can't remember it as well as I remember this V example, but it was something where like he said something that made me go, oh wow, he's weaker here, and he was just like his whole body language and everything. Like he was talking, he was got like nervous, and then he was just I just noticed he was kind of rattled that he wouldn't be if he was sitting on like a real strong hand. And so I got to play aggressively in a way that I wouldn't have been otherwise. And then I
I
realized like,
thought you're naturally disarming. You're like that's like one of your special superpowers is you're one of these people that like I definitely could understand why they would be intimidated. But go on.
when you say disarming, like disarming in a because I think most people like I think of disarming as like oh he makes me relax, but you're saying it more
Oh no.
like the opposite. Like yeah, I'm trying to
Well,
intimidate.
like a Jedi
Which
mind
I think
trick kind
most
of.
people actually, the way I like, if I would think about it, I think most people do find me intimidating. Like, I had a friend one time that said that like I have like an aristocratic air about me, and I always thought that was funny. I was like, I had never thought about it in my life. I was like, maybe I do.
You,
So,
you're like a rogue, a trickster. You just seem like you have like something up your sleeve, even if you don't, just by your natural
yeah,
demeanor. So like
yeah, that's true.
your
That's
your
true.
your confidence was pretty intimidating, I think, back in the day. I actually am curious when you like became confident, whether you were like innately confident from the beginning or if there was like a sea change moment where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna be a badass from here on out. Because like I like was still like I'm sure like Z and Kibler and I are all similar age. We were all probably pretty intimidated by your confidence at all. Like none of us had confidence at like beginning of Magic, right? So like where did that come
Um,
from?
it's funny because when I don't know whether I had like some like personality disorder or something, but like when I was a kid, I just acted like an adult, like, and I was I wouldn't say I was like overtly rebellious with my parents, but I was just there were certain things if I wasn't going to do them, I was not going to do them. Period. So like I had a war with my parents because I hated school. They were just like, you got to do. My mom especially was like, you got to do school. And I was like, I'm not doing it. This was a war until I was 15. Then, okay, we're going to go to a therapist. So we went to a therapist. Therapist kind of ruled with me. She just said, okay, you have to graduate, but he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. So then this is like me being like the competitor in me. It's like, okay, now you guys are off my back. Watch this. So one semester I went from like a 2.0 to like a 4.16. Principal's on a roll. Then I went right back to 2.0. So, yeah, see, I can do it, but I'm not going to want to do it. But that was like, so I kind of had this like thing where I never trusted outside authority, which is kind of good and bad, but but for playing something like this, it's really good. Like I only trusted myself. Like I believed in myself. And so also I had like when I competed in other things in like high school and stuff, I had some good experiences where like there was a lot of pressure on me and I delivered. And so then I wasn't afraid of pressure. I was kind of like, um, you know, I had that type of confidence, but it came in Magic, I think, from like because at first I wasn't very good, and it was taking me a while. It took me a little while to like kind of understand like the fundamentals of the game and feel that out. And I did. I definitely didn't at first. Then uh, I remember there was one time I was playing it in a qualifier, and this was like very pretty early on. And I was playing somebody who wasn't very good, and he was just like he had this kind of like jolly like, oh, we're just having fun. Like, and he kind of expected that I would lose to me. I was expecting that he would lose to me. And he was just kind of, oh, playing. I followed his lead. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to win. And then, like, all of a sudden I lost. And then I remember I was like, oh my God, how do I lose that? Like, there's no way I should have lost to that guy. Like, that guy is horrible. Like, and it stewed on me and stewed and stewed and stewed. And I was like, I realized like I had to internally focus myself to play well. I couldn't just like like I think some people can do that and be relaxed. I'm not that way. I have to be intense. And so I remember the next time I played him, internally in my head, he was doing the same thing. And this is like just, this is like just letting my internal process out. Um I sat there thinking like, oh, you're trying to trick me. You want me to play bad. That's why you're doing this act. And this isn't true. This guy was that's just how he was.
You Michael
But it
Jordan.
needed to get motivated, right? So I was like, oh, you're trying to trick me. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make it worse. I'm gonna fucking humiliate you. And I'm just, you're not even gonna have a chance in this game. Like, and I'm getting myself all fucking worked up, And then and so so I found that like you had to like it was it's not just a mental game, it's a mental game too, and so you have to like be able to find a way of getting into the match when you're not feeling it, or like you've got a losing hand or whatever have you. You still have to like be in the moment and like get yourself to deliver.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how you got Magic onto MTV. I also feel like there's this for me, if I ever cared about winning or the score or the prize, I lost. And if I cared only about making the best play and being in the moment, I had like a much better time of it. And so it's interesting where like you're kind of speaking to being in the moment and also like having like desires, which for me was like basic. I don't know if like there was some entity on my shoulder that was like, nope, you will
Yeah,
always suffer if you
but
do that.
it's
You know what I
weird.
mean?
It's hard. Yeah, like I would have the desires right up until I play, and then when I play, usually I could try to blot that out of my head, and then just like, okay, I got to focus on what I'm doing. And then it's
It
hard
is.
not to getting further and further. You start to feel the pressure of like, oh, if I win this one, Um, but with MTV, it's funny because that's actually part of the story I was writing for Pat, but was about this, and that actually this is the most surreal thing that's ever happened in my entire life. Um, so when we got invited to MTV, it was me, Hammer, Mark Justice, Mike Long. I love that half of the people that went were inveterate cheaters, but so anyway, so the four of us go, and I'm the only one that looks like he could possibly be on the MTV Beach House, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the other three are pasty as hell, from back east, right? This is not reading MTV Beach House. Anyway, we're there. Um, we each shoot two of these like little sort of skits each, and then so I'm there, and then the producer who was producing the spot, just towards the end of the day, comes over and she says, "Oh, you're Brian, right? I'm so and so. Nice to meet you." I said, "Oh yeah," and she goes, "Oh, I think I asked her. I said, how did you guys decide to do this? And she said something that is 100% true. And as I am saying it, I do not believe that it is true, but it is 100% true what I'm about to say. She goes, "Well, my brother plays Magic, and he started reading your tournament reports. And then he sent them to me because he thought that they were funny. And I read them. I was like, oh, yeah, this guy is pretty funny. We should have like little Magic the Gathering thing on MTV." So she asked Wizards of the Coast, she said, "I want to have Team Dickhead on MTV." MTV, and then Wizards was like, "Well, our brand, we don't necessarily want to associate with Team Dickhead. So Brian, we'll get three other people." And I mean, my jaw, I think, was like on the floor. I was like, what? Because when I would write these things, it was frequently like I was writing for like 5 or 10 people in my head. Like, I wasn't writing for like everybody. And it just happened to work, I think, because like that was like, I was, I don't know, it did happen to work, but it wasn't like intentional. It was just, I was trying to
Yeah.
write for
Yeah.
my
The
friends.
universe was looking out for you.
Yeah. And it was like the right time, the right, whatever. And so then, I actually like pitched her on a book because I was like, I think it would be cool to write a book about what this is like, because this is kind of a new thing. Like this is something that's never happened before. Like, so like it'd be cool to like write a kind of, I thought, a first person narrative from my account of like what it was like. And it kind of this
For sure.
weird thing of like being both like extremely poor, but then like there was some glamour to it as well, where like you're traveling all over the world, you're seeing your friends, and you're winning money. And so like these all things have a little bit of glamour to them too. So it's like you have this like part of your life where you're part of something that you think is really cool and really big, but then like you go home and like people think you're a dork or whatever, oh, why are you playing, so it's kind of like, I thought like, and I was very much like, there's no reason that we this should be dorky. I was like totally rebellious against that idea. I was like, why is this dorky? Like we are sitting here playing a game for money, traveling all over the world with our friends, and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then like we're young people, like we're doing young people stuff. Like, how is that not cool? Um, and I used to talk about this a lot with Truck, because Truck had like a very different opinion. Like he had a kind of a more like, no, this is dorky shit, and I'm embarrassed that I do it. I was kind of like, so it's like, No, no, no. It's I was always trying to pull it like a different direction. And I think that was partially why, like, when I started writing tournament reports, I didn't like my tournament reports, unless they were like a qualifier tournament report. I didn't talk about cards, so I was like, that's gonna be boring as hell. Like, who the hell wants to
Yeah, I
read
can't
that?
imagine.
Yeah, like you only like read about like what else was going on, the human side of it. So and then the last part of that being on MTV was like I didn't realize how fast they would cut it. So it was like I think it was the next day I was at a bar, and at this point I'm pretty like easy to spot because like I have blue hair and like I have orange jeans and shit like that. And anyway, so like at this bar and this can't remember if it's a girl or guy. I get like I'm facing like this direction, and the person like looks at me and looks above, and then like they go, "Is that you?" And I turn around. There's a TV above me, and it was me. I'm like on television, just in a random bar. I was like, "Yeah." It's like, I guess it's on television now. That's how I found out. So yeah, that was a very very surreal experience.
Yeah, it was actually kind of cool. Like it was cheeky. MTV was like not really like sure what to do about it, but it was like funny how like the cultures it didn't feel that much of a mismatch. Like the spin article that came later felt more like a slam. Like it wasn't like a hit piece by MTV. It was just like this is a weird attempt to see if this sticks, and if it sticks, great.
Yeah,
If it doesn't, great. But it was like
yeah,
it didn't feel like there was an in joke in there at all, right? It was kind of earnest.
yeah, 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 and I yeah, totally. And I think that was also like it would. If I actually think it would have been cool to have us all on it because I think it would have gotten our friendship and our dynamic. And we were all from Southern California. We weren't all a bunch of white dudes, and
Mhm.
like that would I think actually in fun. I think that like that was a like moment where like you don't want to make too much of it. It's just one thing, but it's like there is moments I think where like the culture can kind of shift one direction or another direction, and like and wanting
Why
it to go like
why do they like Mark Justice? Like, who was Mark Justice? You know what I mean? Like, I understand the other two somewhat. Like, Hammer was a like an arm wrestler. He was very big.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Long had charisma, but like Justice didn't have charisma, right? Like, why was he there?
Yeah, I think he was just considered like one of the standout early players. So it's funny. I had a funny story about Mark because like it's sort of like how you see things differently when you become like at least a young man to a boy or a man to a young man. But like so Mark and I were friendly, and I always kind of wondered if he cheated, but I didn't see anything myself. Although actually, the very first time I saw Mark, I thought he might have cheated. I was just walking by him. But anyway, so anyhow, so like, so Mark and I were kind of friendly, and there was that Pro Tour Atlanta with the slivers and stuff. And
Mhm.
so this is back like, you know, very early internet. Communication wasn't like it is now. And the tournament ended, and it was I think it was no, it was Monday morning. I got a phone call like on a landline, pick up the phone and it's Mark Justice. And he then goes into this. He's like, "Hey, Brian, how you doing?" So we start talking, and then he goes into this long detail about giving his side of what has happened in this. And I haven't heard anything at this point. Like I didn't know anything that happened, nothing. So he's giving me this, and I'm listening. I'm going, "Why is he giving me this long speech about what happened?" Blah 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 blah. Right. And at first, I like didn't understand it. I was like, "Okay, well, it's cool talking to you, Mark." You're like, "Bye." Right. So then, like Gabe Higa, like calls me randomly, I think like the next day. And he's like, "Hey, Acker, um, did you hear about this show, Pro Tour Atlanta?" I was like, "No, what happened?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, Mark Justice cheated me." And then he has his account. Then I'm like, oh my God. Like, well, it was sort of flattering in a certain sense because I realized like Mark is doing this because he thinks like I have enough sway that he
Currying
wants to
favor.
get his version, yeah, out with me so that like, which, yeah, it was a very strange feeling to realize like that I'm actually getting worked here for a specific end. And
Yeah, he bought a sliver. He bought a muscle sliver or two and put them in his
yeah,
deck. I remember that tournament. That was the last time I remember seeing him.
yeah,
uh, um, what? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I would have enjoyed watching your team. I've worked with John Yu a few times now in like
Oh,
professional
cool.
life, and I think he like I think he's a dancer. Like he's funny. He can be nice or play to your team name at times. Usually at the same time. I think your team was funnier than the people they chose. If you could go back in time and draft who you had on there, but you couldn't pick Dickhead, who are the three people you take with you? Like, if you
Oh,
can't
I
take
was
your team, but you're definitely not taking the three people who went, like, who would you pick in retrospect?
um, well, it's hard to say because it would have been local. I mean, because later like when Truck and John were playing as much, I would say like me, Gabe, and Sigurd was like we played a lot as a team, and that was a
Mhm.
very good um dynamic between us. But for local guys, like I liked the way Igor played, Igor Freeman. I liked the
Yeah.
way and he was a friend. I don't know if it would have been for like Gabe Higa would have been great for like culture, but he was kind of flaky and he wasn't like really committed the same way that the rest of us were, I feel like. Or yeah.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. It was weird because I might have gone with like a San Diego type crew and had like Alan Comer and someone else, but it was weird because it's hard when you don't click like as friends. Like you have to really click as friends. I think that's first and foremost. It wasn't like a working relationship; it was a friend relationship. At least with Truck and John. With Zila, it was harder because we wanted a fourth person. Other and he was like kind of the best candidate, but he wasn't as natural a fit just because he was younger.
Hmm.
Uh, Dad was
I,
more like overprotected and stuff, so it made it more difficult to like go and do the kind of stuff we were doing.
yeah, you guys seem like a more mature team for sure. Like you had like confidence, swagger. You were funny. You would be up drafting for Auntie late at night and stuff like that. Like,
Oh yeah.
was Zila there with you, like at 3 in the morning doing money drafts? Maybe I don't know.
No, not really. Not really. And also it was weird because like funnily enough, after the first bit of money like when money draft started, like truck I wasn't money drafting with truck like ever. So I'd money draft with John and Gabe sent quite a bit, but very rarely with truck. And like truck because one of the things in money draft is I think it's much more important your play. Um, Drafting is important too. Obviously, the play is like really important. Whereas I think when you're playing in tournaments, it's actually less important your play because you tend to get like no matter what pod you're in, almost ever, there's always weak players that don't know what they're doing, and so you end up with stronger advantages if you draft well, and sometimes you just get these like insane decks, and so the it's not as important to like be super accurate. But when you're playing like money draft, it's like everyone knows what they're doing. You're going to end up with thinner margins and like playing really well or understanding like good sideboarding and stuff like that. It's much more important.
Hmm. What should the parameters be for the Hall of Fame? Like, you should probably be in the Hall of Fame. I think Justin Gary certainly should have been in the Hall of Fame. What were the right parameters, right? Like, it feels like it also like avoided contributions that weren't just like in a narrow band of time when Pro Tour points counted, right? Like, if you could have like designed those to like be more holistic, what would you have done?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the Hall of Fame is supposed to be. Um, I think like I certainly wouldn't get as hung up on like top eights. I think
Hmm.
sometimes that doesn't necessarily give you an accurate picture. Because like there were some people that would like were never factors in tournaments and then would have like two random top eights. And there are other guys that like probably didn't even have two top eights and like you were not happy when you were playing them ever.
Yeah.
Um and I like I think I don't know. And then there's also like what's the contribution outside of it? Is it about the history of the game? Is it just about the competitive aspect? Um yeah, and it was like I remember, and Randy and I are are we're friends. I've been talking to
Hmm.
Randy in ages, but I remember when Randy got picked, I was like, kind of was like, I don't know that Randy really deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, but it was like, okay, as always with the coast people voting,
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, I vote Randy, but it's fine.
it
Vote Randy.
biased all the votes for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, and yeah, and it was, yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, there's, it's weird because when I think now about it, there's really slim margins between having like an insane career or be considered having an insane career and not. Like, even people that were like one story that, and this is like my sour grapes bitter story. So so here it is. So it's coming. But like the world championship that Kai won, he and I were playing with 4 rounds left, and both of us would have to win the last 4 rounds to make the top eight. And what's funny is both of us would win every round we played after that. I'd win my next three, finish top 16. He'd win his next three, eight, and then the next
Nice.
three after that, one tournament. Now, I win game one because he's mana screwed. We're in game two, it's limited, and he is having mana trouble again. But this time and I've got him down pretty low, and I put this creature down, and I think it's like a blockable somehow. And I put the enchantment on it that brings like undoes the guy when you do damage, right?
Hmm.
So he then he gets down. There was like some enchantment that said like if as long as you have a creature in play, you can't lose. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
now
it, right? Yeah.
he puts that down. I like get him down to like three or two or whatever, and then he puts down another guy, and like now, but he's like got no mana. He's like, poof, that's it. And I'm like, okay. Now I attack, and when I attack, I have no idea what's going to happen. I know that it's something's gonna happen, but I'm like, well, actually, I call a judge over and I go, okay, I'm thinking to myself, does this do damage? So I wasn't sure it did damage. So I'm like, maybe it all gets reduced to zero and nothing happens. I'm like, that'd be bad. The second version is, um, it does damage, bounces his guy, but he doesn't die. So I'm like, okay, well, that's still pretty good for me, right? I'll probably be able to draw something to kill this guy, so it's not bad. And the third is he just dies, right? Like that could happen too. I don't know. That's the judge. The judge is like, wow, this is complicated. I honestly don't know. I'm gonna go talk to the head judge. So he goes over to the head judge. He comes back. He goes, I talked to the head judge, told him the exact situation, and it bounces the guy. It's the second one. It bounces the guy, but he doesn't lose. And I'm like, okay, you sure? You explain it. He's like, I am positive. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, all right, well, that's not too bad. This could be worse, right? So da 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 da. We play this literally 5 turns, like literally bounce. He keeps playing the same guy, bounce, 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 bounce. I'm just trying to draw something to kill the guy. He's
Hmm.
trying to draw a land so he can be playing a second guy, right? But it's not really happening. So 5 turns go by. He's just playing the exact same guy over and over and over again. He's playing more land. Finally, I draw something that kills it. He has 3 untapped lands and he hasn't played a guy. It's kind of suspicious. I kill his guy and he plays the like put 2/2/2 3/2/2s in play so he doesn't
Waylay.
lose. Right.
Yeah.
Fine. Then he like plays some guys. He gets out of it. Literally, the round after he plays the guy. So like after the 2/2/2s get like he then plays like two guys. And as is happening, he plays like I see Beth Moribund run off.
Hmm.
And I thought she had been in the vicinity. She runs off. And I'm like, I look at the judge that I'm talking to. I'm like, why did he's like, why is Beth like running off? He's like, I'm not sure. I'll go find out. So I'm like, okay, Kai, if you don't mind, let's just chill, right? Judge comes back. Oh, actually, we gave you the wrong ruling. Yeah, Kai loses. I'm like, okay, cool, right? So I can just scoop up. He's like, no, no, no. I'm like, at this like literally 5 turns, he's tapped out. He can do nothing. You watched it. Beth watched it. Like, and Kai is just sitting there, like he's like, oh, I'm just gonna see what happens, right? So anyway, they say no, doesn't work that way. I'm on fucking raging tilt, right? And then ended up losing that game, and then the next game to him, and then he ends up winning the tournament. And so like, there's these things where like, I don't know. I'm not saying I would have won the tournament, but I might not have even made the top eight and might not have changed anything. But I do know that Kai was not going to win the world championship because, like me, he had to win all 4 rounds and it wouldn't have happened. And so, like, great player. I'm not saying Kai didn't deserve it. I'm just saying that, like, these tiny margins that happens, like,
Hmm.
these little situations like can totally change like, the way someone's considered. Because we were only playing like four pros, maybe a world championships, maybe I haven't played two world championships my whole time, top eight and top 16, right? So it wasn't even like you could always play in that tournament. There was one year I was 11th in ranking and 13th in pro tour points. Didn't play in world championships. So it's like,
That's
clearly,
crazy.
yeah, which was insane. So so, like, I think like, so would you go with like who had the best results? You definitely want to have a part of that because you want to feel like it's earned. But then on the flip side, I think like, there's probably a lot of people I'm sure that were my peers that if like you just stacked everyone up, said, okay, you're going to have to pick someone at that time. Like, I know that I would have been picked like before some of these other guys, So it's kind of, it was kind of like, so on just on that level, it was like a little bit like, I don't know. But, you don't want to be too sour about it because it's like whatever it wants, whatever people want it to be, whatever Wizards wants it to be, that's like, that that makes sense to me too. Like, it's not like it's for me to decide or anything like that. So I think, you know, um, but I do think there is like a room for like, and I don't know if it's the Hall of Fame or just like getting into like the like even what you're doing right now, or some of the history of things that actually how they went down, I think is kind of like interesting because it's a part of our history. It was something that we really all cared about, um and that I don't know that I won't follow this stuff, but I don't know that all these the kind of like that early or even middle history, like if that stuff like it'd be interesting. Like I think it did kind of shape like what ended up happening afterward. And history I think is always interesting. So it's the prologue to the present. So it's anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting I talked to Randy, um, not about this Hall of Fame thing, which isn't, like you said, that material or material at all, really. It's just fun to talk about. But I think his take was like when he joins Wizards, he's there to stabilize the business and try to make it something that isn't at the risk of dying, right? That's how he thinks of it. And like his job was trying to build a team that would safeguard the future of the brand. And I think that kind of echoes what you're saying here. There's this amazing cohort of people that came together through this game in a way they wouldn't have come together otherwise. And, you know, I think with participation of that group, like, has created one of the biggest toy and game brands in existence. The story of like where it was potentially rocky, I think, is interesting, or the decisions that like I was talking to Scap yesterday, and he was like, Disney offered to buy Magic in like 1993 or four. And that was like a real thing that they could have done. And they didn't. And then the Pro Tour was really unpopular too. And like three people kind of made that happen against the will of the company. And I do think the story of like how you even get from A to B, and then how these different like factions essentially grow off. You have so many people, and you look at like the roll call of people who played in the Pro Tours in the first couple of years. You're like, holy cow! Like this was like a special place to be. I, I like you kind of speak to it naturally, which I love. Where you're like, I picked up this change in how I thought forever here, and I think that's kind of the magic of like that time. The stories that you carry with you and the people you carry with you are like of that ilk, right? You're like, oh, Rudy Edwards watched me play an anti-match and he was like, why aren't you trying to win? I'm like, oh, for the rest of my life, I will try to win. Thank you, Rudy Edwards. uh,
Yeah,
good
yeah.
place.
It's funny because yeah, that night in Brazil, because I knew of Scap, but I never met him. He knew of me, but he had never met me. And we're now in the same hotel room, and we're just like shooting the shit. And I told him, I said, I thought he was more responsible for where Magic was at that point because of the Pro Tour than anybody. Like literally more than Richard, more than Peter, more than
I
Mark
agree.
Rosewater, more than anybody. And I think like, and then, I think it was a hard thing if you do not have the Pro Tour, I believe this wholeheartedly. If you do not have the Pro Tour, you would not have had a cohort of people that super, super, super invested, super, super, super cared. And that sheen did trickle down to everybody else, even the person that was playing hobby out their coffee shop with their, brother, like that that they still cared. And it's still, that's why, excuse me. And I think that's why, like, it still mattered over the years. And so it's not just like you could take like, and I think there's always this corporate interest of like, wait, why are we spending these tens of millions of dollars on this? Because it's like, it seems like a marketing expense that like you don't really understand, but like SCAF understood it. And I think SCAF even went, you know, even trying to get him on and getting it on ESPN2 and stuff. And like, it was an attempt to see like, how far can we go with this? And I think it was a bit before its time where like, if some of the things even that he wanted to do or other people wanted to do with like making it more like making the digital game more friendly, like eventually happened. But if that had happened earlier, I think there was a moment where it could have had like an esports sort of transition that would have been stronger, stuff like that. So like, I think that a lot of I was so you're talking to someone too that I was like not happy with corporate decisions from like the whole time onward, including some of the stuff like with design decisions I totally disagreed with, like even Randy made. I told him this because like the set he did where it was like, okay, we're gonna have these multicolored things. It was like I was
Yeah.
I fucking hate that was his first set I hated. I told Mark Rosler, I hate this set. I fucking hate it. And I said the reason why is it's just like, do I draw the card? Do I draw my land? And now like and now because the cards are stronger, like I can't it's much harder for me to like get counterplay
That
like
that describes Magic today, and for the last 20 years, actually. I feel like that's what Magic is when I play it. It's like, all right, it's war, and maybe there's a trick or two along the way, but for the most part, it's like, if you're playing the newest cards, it's war. If you're like Mike Flores and you're playing the cards that we played with, it's still interesting. But it is like a choice, right? It's funny. I was the lead during Ravnica, and we had a gold set, but we gave you a lot more time to set up and a lot more mana fixing to set up, so you could do very interesting things, and everyone would survive long enough to like not just get rolled because they drew a certain way. And when I played the follow up to that, Shards of Alara, the sort of triad based gold deck, they had removed all the walls and a lot of the mana fixing, and it was just like it's mana screw and fast power creatures, and that's it. And it was just like, this is not very interesting, um, but it's done really well. And so it's like the competitive sport version of Magic that we all love, like wasn't the commercial winner, or at least hasn't been yet. It'll be interesting to see if it comes back, if like this cohort of players is now capable of handling that level of gameplay, because it was really fun to have these environments that like even Mirage Visions, Weatherlight, all of these like draft formats I thought were pretty wonderful, until more recently. And it's interesting, like Matt Place is a more of like the present is the best, and a lot of us from the older times are kind of like, I kind of liked it in the aughts better or the '90s better. Um, but I actually like that everyone has a different take on it.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't keep up with it after that because it was kind of
Yeah,
like when that came, it was like I just didn't feel like the skill level was the same. And also it was also coinciding with I had less like Truck and John were moving out of the game. I had gotten in a really bad car accident. And so what used to happen is we used to always play on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
mhm.
Saturdays was Coast Women's Club. We'd play whatever was going on there. And then it also kind of sucked because then when the qualifiers were people that needed to qualify only, so we would show up and we would just play like side drafts and stuff. And then on Wednesday, it was all side drafts, and we'd usually have a group that had at least two going at a time, sometimes three, sometimes even four if like the pro tour was happening. So like, and also that was like because we were playing for money at all of them too. Like that helped have like for me, it was like I was just doing it full time. I didn't have a job, so like I did need that. I did need that hustle income. And so then I got in a car accident um and I couldn't drive for a while. And it was sad because basically when I stopped going, Truck was like, I'll wait for Hacker to get better. Then John was like, well, Truck and John aren't going to be there. I'm not going to. And then it was like, it just trickled down. And all of a sudden, Wednesday night was gone. Saturday night was like, only the people who were qualifying were going. And then it was just like, what are we doing? Like, we're not, we kind of, it blew up our whole, the whole way we practiced and everything. And it wasn't long after that until it was that whole cohort of people just kind of like it wasn't.
Left. I'm kind of curious what your invitational designs were. You go on to make games at some point, which we'll talk about. But like, what were your invitational designs? Do you remember?
Oh, like what I would have designed if I would have won.
Hmm.
Um, I think it actually weirdly it was a mechanic. I think that came out later. I don't even know if Mark just cribbed me because that I always thought that like there should be like you look at all the colors, they kind of all had something to do with creatures where they could kill them, but green couldn't. So I
Hmm.
thought there should be something where like green had like a forced block mechanic. I think it ended up coming out like shortly after, but at the time it wasn't. So it was like where you could just like, okay, you have to block me or that kind of
I
thing.
remember that.
And so yeah, like that um I thought that could be cool. But I didn't really like have anything in my mind. I just kind of like I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
weird. Like,
that was tough because I missed a top two to play for it. It's funny. I've two horrible losses due to mana burn. That was one of them. I lost to Sven Spargjertsen, and where we were playing this like ridiculous format where there was like I don't remember, but everything. I think you started with um like the make all costs one less effectively. And then like I think this is one Finkel actually built for me, and then he had one where it was like you were doing this and you're putting out more and more artifacts and stuff. And I like screwed up and I mana burned myself to death in a game I would have won. And this
uh,
also happened again years later in a Grand Prix to make the top four. I had to beat Dave Humphreys and I would have won and I mana burned myself to death again. So I've had two like horrible losses from mana burn.
that is terrifying. That's why I never lose. No, I'm just kidding. Hmm. Yeah, I was curious. Like we talked about this. I talked about this with Scap. You made the NBA game, and then you made games for Upper Decks. Like, it's a little weird that you weren't at Wizards. I like, was that ever in discussion? And like, it seems like you would have been a good wizard. Would you even have wanted that?
Um, I don't know. It was kind of weird because yeah, so the story of that was kind of funny. So how I got started in the game design was my buddy Dave Smith that actually I worked on the Rome deck with because
Hmm.
he actually it was weird like he saw the sort of engine components but didn't know what to do with it, and then I was like, oh, we can do this with it, and then we kind of worked on it together. And then he was my design partner for all the games I worked on. But he was like, hey, there's sports, there's trading card games. What about if we did a sports trading card game? I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. We both love basketball. So I'm like, let's just try it. So we like spent like 3 months working on a game, and then like we play tested it for the first time after 3 months. Should be a big red flag. And then it was fucking terrible. It was like the worst game ever. So we were like, so I was like, okay, clearly you can't tell in advance. You need to actually like um actually play the thing as quick as possible to get a sense of what actually is happening. So then we started working on it again, and then like I came up with something that I thought was cool. Dave was like, "Oh yeah, let's do that." So like we had a second version that was pretty good. So we were kind of refining it, and then actually I was staying at Scaff's house because there was like I think there was a Grand Prix there, and I was like still super poor. So like I was staying at Scaff's house, and then like Scaff took me for a tour, and like going through Wizards, and I see these like baseball trading cards, and
Hmm.
like, you guys doing sports trading cards? And I'm like, this is so weird. Yeah, like we're working on basketball. It's like, oh, we're doing basketball next. You should send this to us. I was like, okay. So I started working on that, and then like now we had like a date. Like, okay, we're gonna give this to them, and this is like you're just getting all the bitterness out of me too, because this is like another bitter Brian Hacker story. So
I
I
have no, I have no idea what's coming. I just like,
yeah, so
go
so
on.
we like worked on it, and we're like very happy with it. We played tested a while with outside people. They seem to like it too. And basically, one of the things was like it was like we only played the second half, but we could simulate it every possession. So you basically had dice and you get to throw a certain number of dice, and then like it would basically give you an opening in the play or like, and then you could pass, shoot, etc. And it played pretty nicely. And it actually weirdly kind of felt like the NBA because there were like, you'd actually get advantages like in the paint or three or whatever, and then like passing. And so like it actually had a little bit of that flair to it. So anyhow, so they're like, okay, the submission has to be in at this time. We send it in. And then like, I'm like, okay, well, who's the submission? So like, well, we have one submission by the guy Wizards, who's like our internal submission. And then like you guys, and then there's like this other external submission. Like, okay, cool. So we're like, keep thinking we're going to hear something. And they're like, we don't hear anything. We don't hear anything. We don't hear anything. I'm like, okay. So I guess maybe they went a different direction. So I think I tried to get in touch with them. And they're like, oh, no, we don't know. We're still testing. Like, okay, cool. So finally, this one Friday, I get this phone call. It's like the same guy. He's like, okay, so we've done, some external play testing, internal play testing. They come to a decision. And like how the playtesting go. He goes, okay, so we did it, and yours came out way in front of the other two. Um, and I was like, oh, that sounds like good news. And he's like, yeah, but we decided not to use yours. I'm like, okay, well, why is that? He's like, oh yeah, well, we just did some internal playtesting and decided that we want to go with this one. Wait, which one's that? Oh, the one that the internal guy came up with. It's like, okay. So then like, so then they had this thing where there was something in the game where like you kept using the same guy. There wasn't a reason to like use your other players.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember the exact structure. And so then like Scaff was saying, oh, well, we should use the one of the mechanics from mine was like if you had scored, you got
Eat up.
like focus. So sort of like the defense was focusing on you, so you couldn't use that guy. Like if you use that guy, you're at a disadvantage kind of thing. And they kind of use that mechanic. And then I don't know if staff was just being generous or what, or was like, okay, well, we took that from them. We should buy their game. So there's no like legal IP issue. So I'm like, okay, so you want to buy our game, but you're not going to use it. So I was just like, okay, so then I negotiated the price, whatever. We sold it. It was sort of a decent amount of money for two guys that were living in abject poverty. And then, yeah, so then it came out, and then we got their game. We're like, okay, let's try it. And we're like, oh, this is dog shit. Like, and so yeah, their game was terrible. And so that was another case. They absolutely should have gone our game. Our game was a million times better. So when that happened, like I was kind of like at the tail end. I don't even remember if I was still doing commentary from Money or not. And so I was kind of like pretty much totally out of Magic at the time, and I just didn't have great feelings towards Wizards of the Coast, like as a company. And like I had this bad experience. I had seen how they treated Scaff and Richard, which I didn't think was very cool.
Yeah.
And also I kind of was like I wanted to do something. Maybe it's just hubris or arrogance or just wanting to be independent. But I just was like, I'd rather just do my own thing. Like if like I didn't want to be
Yeah.
necessarily like, okay, I'm gonna have to fit into like a million different processes and um and also just the way that they were thinking about things. Actually, in this conversation, I remember this conversation was when we were selling this game, the guy said, "Oh yeah, your game is is too complicated. We don't want to put our games that are that complicated." And I don't think our game was actually all that complicated, but I said, "Oh," so I said, "Well, wait. So you've had two games, make all the money in the company, right? Which two games are those? Well, Magic and Pokemon." And I'm like, okay, what would you say the complexity level on a 1 to 10 scale? And he says, with absolutely no irony in his voice, "Oh yeah, no, we wouldn't put out those games now." And I'm like, okay, bro, guys are really learning some valuable lessons over there, like,
Yeah.
so yeah. So anyway, that was like, so it was kind of like yeah. So I wasn't like from those experiences like, oh, I've got to go work at Wizards. And then how I worked at Upper Deck was Jeff Donay came over from Wizards and was starting the new department there. And he was trying, I think, to get game designers on the cheap. So he like invited like 15, 20 guys. He's like, all right, all these old time Magic players are gonna come out, and they had like two people on staff, and we're all gonna like design this game. And the thing is, I was the only person that was invited, I think, out of everybody that had game design experience, like literally anyone. So I get there and I felt bad because they were all at the point that I was at when I started and I made like the worst game of all time. Like I was like, you guys don't like you don't you have to do it for a while until you get competent at it. And also designing a brand new game is way harder than designing and develop like in development within an existing game.
Hmm.
So after the first day, um, and I'm kind of weird where like I can get extremely passionate and obsessed when I see something that I think can be real that isn't like been made yet. And so like I saw what they were doing and I was like, okay, that's not gonna work. So I told Jeff, I said, look, sorry, but vote of no confidence on your guys. I know what you're trying to do, but I don't think it's gonna work that well. I said, I'll tell you what, I will make you a game. I will come back in a month with a game. You don't have to promise to buy it, you don't have to promise to do anything. You just have to promise to see it. Just do that and I will make you a game. He's like, why would you do that? I'm like, I just want to do it. Like because I was like, I can make this game, right? So I called my friend Dave. He was on vacation with his girlfriend. I'm like, Dave, you got to get on a plane tomorrow. Come back. we're gonna bust our ass. And doing a game of this type in like 4 or 5 weeks is insane. Like you should
It's
not. It's
incredibly hard.
just a stupid thing to even try to do. So I was just so like I don't know, just the competitive, mean spirited part of my personality came out. I was like, no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. So we were just working 16 to 18-hour days, like literally every day. So I've never done this before in my life, like where I worked that hard for that amount of time. So after 4 weeks, we literally come up with this game. It was pretty good. So we're like, okay, show it to Jeff. So call Jeff up. Hey, Jeff. And I might even ruffle some feathers because I'm going to tell you something that I don't think has ever been said publicly. So, but I don't give a shit. So go up. So go up to Jeff. I'm like, okay, hey Jeff, this is my guy Dave. Like, let's tell you about him. He's a really good game designer too. You should hire him. But anyway, here you go. Here's our game. And the thing is, like, our game was better. Well, our game was really good. It actually came out later in a slightly different form as called Huntic. Unfortunately with a cartoon that didn't do well in Europe. But anyway, so we show him Huntic, or what would become Huntic, and he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's better than the game we have." And he goes, "But there's no way I can use it." So this is like the second time I heard, "Hey, this is the best thing we have, but we can't use it." So he's like, "We can't use this." I'm like, "Why can't you use it?" He's like, and his reason was totally valid. He's like, basically, we have a game that's pretty good versus system, but if we like just shelve all that and then push your game, it's going to be like a massive political nightmare. I was like, okay,
Yeah, I could,
got it.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So I go, okay, that's fair. So he's like, all right, but I'm gonna hire you and I'm gonna buy this game. I'm like, okay, done. So then like, so that was how it started. And so like, what was weird was like, I barely graduated high school. I didn't graduate from university. I was never a good student. But then like when I got my job at Upper Deck, like I was like one of the most senior people there. And I remember the first two people that that were reporting to me were Dave Humphreys, who's got like a PhD in, genetics from, fucking cloning from MIT. And the other one was Dave Smith, my roommate, who has a PhD in philosophy. So it was just like, it's like, all right, well, that was a cool feeling. So, um, and so yeah, so I'm very proud of it. We made 3 games, and I actually truly believe deep in my heart, all 3 of those games are like incredible games. And if they had, and in my opinion, and I don't expect anybody else to believe this, but this is my opinion, as these are my babies. I get to have my opinion. My opinion is all 3 of these games are better than Magic. They're all better than Magic. Magic is good because of 2 things. One, it has a history and it has competitive play. And if you take away those 2 things and you just said, okay, we're going to start from scratch, like everyone would go, man, this game sucks. Like, cause it's like the indeterminate, thing with mana is really difficult. And also the fact that like in a lot of games, you're just playing like a very small number of cards. And unless those cards have like a lot of different apertures to affect other cards, it can just be like, you have no control over what's going on. You're just like, a little control here, a little control there. But compared, and that this is partially why you probably prefer that older style. Because if there's a big difference between like, I play 6 cards and then someone wins, or I play 9 cards and someone wins. Like the more cards you play and the weaker they are, the more like how you play them is going to matter a lot.
Yeah,
Um, and so like, yeah, and then so like I haven't played Magic much of like the last 20 years, but when I would play, like I was always like it seemed to just make like I would develop it the entirely other direction. I'd say, okay, we're gonna slow it down. The cards are gonna be less powerful. Sorry, and you're gonna have more options. So and like, but instead the development seemed to be going the other direction. Everything was like super strong and like very hard to deal with. And it was like, well, okay, like what are we doing here? You know?
I can't imagine. It's like it's similar to just like let's open a pack, see what you got inside, count the points, and move on. Right? It is
Yeah.
like I didn't know the basketball story. I actually always just assumed. I feel like I was a child. I was a child when I got started at Wizardry, but it's like I never got the full version until I was finally grown up. 48 is the right time to tell him. Like it was like I had no idea. I've just been told like it was Brian Hacker's game, and I've just been like, "That's awesome. I'm glad that he made this game." And
Oh, the basketball game?
yeah,
Oh God, no. Oh
I
hell
didn't know
no.
the backstory.
No,
I was just told it was
no,
yours, and I was like,
no.
"That's fucking awesome." Yeah,
No, God damn it, no. And in fact, that it's funny because that was somehow the reputation, and it was because Jeff said, "Oh, you guys designed this basketball game," and now that you say that, I realize he thought we designed the basketball game, not a
it
basketball game.
opened
No, we did
doors.
not
It
design that
opened
basketball game.
doors.
I assure you, it was like when we saw it, the first thing we saw was like there was like you did something I can't remember, and then like you got a line of like box score as to what your guy did. I was like, what is this? What is
Yeah, yeah.
like fantasy
We rolled
basketball? Like,
dice.
yeah, there is absolutely no way that you could make a basketball game. In my opinion, you cannot make a basketball game and not have it at the level of possessions. That's what is fun, right? If I have the ball, like if you don't, you cannot have a situation where like you're up two, we have the ball. This is the last possession. Who's gonna win, right? I could shoot a three and win. I could 2-and-1 and win. I could make a two and we go to overtime. I miss and we lose, right? If you don't have that, you can't have that, right? It is not fun to be like, okay, we're down six, and now I'm going to see like what is Charles Barkley get this quarter, right? It's like it's not the same drama to it, you know. So anyway, I'm off my
No,
soapbox. So
I remember. Yeah, I actually one thing I found with sports games design, and no one's ever made one that's been commercially successful, I don't think. Like maybe there was a wrestling game, which it's not a sport, come on. And so it's I've never wanted action cards in any sports game. And whenever I play, I would rather play a video game or play the sport than have to read a game with lots of different cards. I thought of the game that we put out, it was like, I don't want any of these. Like, this is not what sports is to me. Like, it's so much more cognitive load than like a sports fan would ever want. It's interesting. I never played your game. I just played what I thought was your game. And I heard that your game tested the best of any game all time. So
yeah,
I don't know what to believe anymore. Except for what you said. I probably believe that
believe
because
it,
it's
believe it.
your pain. I can feel the
Let me
pain.
tell you, when something hurts this bad, you remember it quite well. So yeah,
Would you resurrect any of your designs as like a commercial endeavor? Can you at this point? Does Upper Deck own
yeah, I have
everything,
work
or
that's come out that I think is like incredible.
what's the
Like
best game? What is the best game by Brian Hacker that is better than Magic?
which uh, I guess yeah. So the best game we ever came up with, and you get to hear another third bitter Brian Hacker story. Um, so this third game was Dave actually came up with the idea of focusing on this. He said, you know, we should make a game that what did he say? I think he was saying, oh, he was like, yeah. So at this point, we were kind of like still trying to. This was before the Upper Deck thing, so we were like trying to find other outlets to be able to sell our games, and we had like a contact at Mattel, so we could get in there and like pitch them. So Dave was like, okay, well, they have the Uno license. So maybe we should make like something with Uno about like you're moving around a board. It's like, okay, that's an interesting idea.
It's cool.
So then like I came up with the idea, riffing off that. I was like, and if any of you fuckers listening to this, Mike Flores, Steven Waldkaiser, any of you guys, so I'm coming after you. And as you can see, Bitter Brian, I don't play, so can't steal this one. So we came up with this thing where if you take the crazy, or I did, we came up with this crazy eights mechanic where like if there's a green six out there, you play a six, we play a green card. Well, you move your guy that many spaces. I play green three. So that way I'm moving 3 spaces. If I play a blue 6, I'll move 6 spaces. And then you have different squares on the board that do different things. This mechanic is fucking insane because
Makes sense. Yeah.
everyone knows how to play Monopoly. Everyone knows how to play Uno. So all you're doing is transposing the idea, right? So
Hmm.
we make this, and this is the game. Weirdly, I think would be the most successful. I was most proud, not necessarily proud of, but I thought like, oh, that was like really really smart, like doing it this we came up with this, and I was super stoked. So this is our second meeting in Mattel, and the first one went pretty well. And there was a vice president actually that would randomly was sitting on the meeting. He's like, "Oh, if you guys come up with anything, come here, show us. Really want to see it." So the second time we come back, there's a different guy that's like the guy that's like the game buyer guy. So we're like, "Okay, cool." We meet this guy right on, and then while we're just literally about to go in, and this other VP guy sees us, and he goes, "Oh, this is Brian, right?" I'm like, hey, yeah, I remember you. He's like, you know what? I don't have anything right now. I'm going to come in and watch your meeting. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, hell yes, right? We got this VP. We got this guy. We got the buyer's boss coming in. Like, this is great. We come in, and this is like, we're like big swinging dicks because we know we have the nuts, right? We're just like, boom, Unopoly. It's Uno. It's fucking Monopoly. And let me tell you, because we used to play test in this cafe. Everybody would go, what is that game? What is that game? Because they see Uno, they see Monopoly, right? That's the two games everyone knows. Like, this is just, you take that, smash it up, boom, done. It's done. This is just the most obvious thing ever. We show it to them. They're like, oh, wow. Okay, this is cool. No, I've never seen something like this mechanic before. Like, damn right, you have it. Damn right, you have it. Get out that check, boy. So, anyway, and then we also show them a word game that also unpublished, also just another platinum hit, right? Show them both of these. And I kind of know that the word game is probably not something they're going to buy, but I'm like, those are the two games we have, but they're both insane, right? So the guy's like, oh, the buyer's like, oh, I really like word games. So my wife and I play word games all the time. So I'll take it and I'll at least play with my wife. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're like, all right, well, we'll see you in like a week or two. Cool. So like a week or two goes by. Let's have their second meeting, drive up, to which I then hear for the third time, we tested this game. Everybody loved it. Great. But, okay, what's the but? But your game takes too long. I was like,
Ugh.
thinking to myself, this is the fastest game I've ever made in my entire life. I was like, our average game length was like 15 minutes. Like it's insanely fast, right? I almost thought it was too fast. I'm like, so then I started thinking to myself, oh, they must have messed up a rule or something. Like, how could you? So I said, oh, how long on average are you taking? He said, 13 minutes. This is a board game that takes 13 minutes. What board game have you ever played in your life takes 13 minutes? So I
Uno
go,
doesn't take 13 minutes. You'd have to play that
okay,
forever.
okay,
Like,
okay,
yeah, come on.
okay. So
It's a punishment to play
I,
that game with my children.
I ask him that. I go,
Sorry, children.
he goes, yeah. So he goes, Uno is faster. And I'm thinking to myself, what planet is Uno faster?
Focus
Like
group
if
that shit. I'll pay for the focus
yeah,
group.
yeah, exactly. There's no freaking way in hell. Because like, if people have any brain in their head and they hold their good cards until someone is about to go out and then they just slam that person, the game Uno go on forever. So I'm like, no, you can play. He's like, you can play a game in 4 or 5 minutes. I'm like, the hell you can't. Like, if you play like like your retarded brother and your 3-year-old sister, maybe, but like, no, 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 that's no, no. And I don't mean retarded like dumb. I mean retarded like literally like. So anyway, I was like, and so I'm like looking around the room, like, does anyone hear what this man is saying? So I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do about that. And the VP wasn't there, so I was like, so then the okay, what'd you think of the word game? He's like, this is the best word game I've ever played in my life. Oh, really? You liked it that much? Yes. My wife and I, we fucking loved it. We started playing it on Thursday. After work on Friday, we played it. We played it on Saturday, and then we played it on Sunday. And this meeting was on Monday. We I'm like, "Oh, that's fantastic, man. I'm glad to hear you really like it." He's like, "Yeah, but we can't put that one out either." I'm like, and then this motherfucker says, "But can I keep the deck? But can I keep the deck? Like, can I put a little anthrax on that thing before you keep it?" So, like,
How do you feel about the games industry? Yeah, no,
so yeah,
I'm
so like, So if any of you out there want to make a lot of money and work with someone that's kind of annoying, then like hit me up. You get my information from Brian and just handle all the business stuff because I'm
I want to
I'm
play
itching.
the Monopoly game. I want to play Monopoly. It just
I'll show it to
seems
you. You'd love it.
it's
It's
so
insane.
obvious. I uh I know some IP holders. Um, I invited a special guest that you may remember.
Did you actually purposely call me in?
I did it that moment because you have also seen the horrors of the Magic Pro Tour and making games for IP holders. Brian Hecker, this is an obvious person.
He doesn't.
Do you recognize this
He
man?
does not recognize me.
He just looks like a homeless guy up the street. I don't know who he is.
Yes.
That's the vibe I'm going for.
I learned, Scaff, Elias, that Brian was not the only designer of the basketball game. And for all my life, I thought it was Brian Hecker who was the sole designer of the basketball game. But it's not. Look at that
No,
face.
Brian
Look
is
at that.
pissed off because he's not the designer. He designed a good basketball game that we decided to go a different way, but we wanted to steal parts of it. So we paid him for those parts, right?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. And what's up, Scaff?
All
Good to
right.
see you, brother.
Hey,
Sorry for
is
the
that the story
surprise.
he told you?
What's that?
I
Yeah, that's the story I told, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
he
you
told
were
it wholly. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything other than that from Brian Hecker. Hecker and I, we have worked together before to success.
What did you
I
guys work
understand.
on? What did you work on?
We haven't really talked about that yet. But
I don't even know.
yeah.
We worked on like a humility Ormsfair deck in the worlds that I made top 8. But it was funny because I think like I don't remember. I know it's very strange. I remember that I respected your games land or your deck design, and I don't remember. I think I
It's
wanted someone to collaborate with because I always collaborate with people. I'm much better working with other people than just by myself.
uh,
And then like
it's
somehow we just were talking and like and then it just started happening, which was weird because we weren't close or anything. We were barely
no.
friends. We weren't really friends. We were just like acquaintances. Like it was just like yeah. And
It was
but
fun though. It was actually like I quite enjoyed working on that deck. I think my brother was in the mix. We ended up everyone who played the deck finished in the top 32. Brian finished top 8. Like it did incredibly well. So it was, and then Brian finished in the I think third or second in the next Grand Prix. So
second, yeah.
yeah.
Thanks.
Why didn't you win? Like I feel like we haven't gotten to that important
I don't
question.
know. That was weird. It was just like every draw I had was like it turned slow or something, and the guy was just having like the tournament of his life, like, and he just barely like couldn't quite get full control down. Like, yeah,
I mean, bad draws is the only reason you ever not win.
Actually, he took mana burn twice back when that
yeah.
even existed.
Well, I had some bad ones. Yeah, had some bad ones. Actually, yeah, it was like I have just so many better stories. Like,
Oh
so
shit!
there was one where
Wait one
what's
second.
that?
Turn your head to the side. Turn your head to the side. Oh, is that a? That's a. You got a thing. All right. All right. Now continue with your
Yeah,
story.
yeah. Yeah, that Pro Tour Rome, in which, and you were the one, actually, Scaff, that told me that you guys banned Yawgmoth's Will because of me. And I don't think no one else was playing Yawgmoth's Will um, that did well. Like, there was a
That deck
Japanese
was
deck
incredible.
all, and
If I told you that might have been true. It's
yeah.
possible.
And
It's been a while.
there wasn't anyone else playing it, so why not? But anyhow, so the thing is, the first day I go 6-1, and the only other deck that has a chance of beating my deck was the like counterspell, play a bunch of land, time spiral thing.
Time
Right?
spiral, yeah.
So that's the only chance anything has. Any other things like zero chance. Like they people are going land, play something, and then never untapped. Like so the second day, first round, I'm playing. They get seated against Mark Elliott. Mark Elliott is so funny. He would just randomly hit me up. We were talking about this. So we'd already played the first day. So I go up to the judge, like, hey, we just played. Like, you got to repair this round. He's like, hmm. I'm like, you're going to repair the round, right? He's like, yeah, we repair it. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just wait for the sheet to come out and see. So he goes, all right, everyone stand up. who is playing someone that they played in the first day. So like,
Oh, bad.
so you can see what's going to happen now, right? So there's like a 5-1-1 and us. And he goes, okay, well, you guys just switch. And I'm like, no, I should be playing weak. That's like not fair to them. A, because they shouldn't have to be playing up, and B, and also I didn't
It's
want to be
bad for
playing
you.
anyone in the draw bracket because when two time spiral people played each other, they were drawing like crazy, and that was the only. So I'm like, I do not want to be in the fucking draw bracket, right? But no, deaf ears. Play. What happens? Draw. So then I'm playing like time spiral, like I beat everybody and like do half and win like 50-50 against the time spirals, and that gets me like top 16 instead of top 8. So yeah,
I,
that was another bitterness.
I feel like I want to take a minute. So when we start this call, Brian has just left, I think, a card room, or he's doing something with cards. And then he comes in, he's chill. He's in some kind of like cool robe. He has to change. He's too comfortable. He's very like sedate. He's almost like monotone for like 20, 30 minutes. And then Scaff, once you arrive, right before you arrive, he starts like firing off like it's July 4th. And what I would like to see is a continuation of that trajectory. Like
I can
you're
leave.
here, Scaff. No. Oh, you could. But like, or you could amplify. What would you say to keep Brian growing in excitement level beyond like working with game developers or IP holders? Where would you go to bring the drama out of Brian Hacker? Only you.
I don't know. His life has been so exciting. I would think the most boring part of it is the game stuff, right?
Yeah, what the hell have you done with your life? How about you tell us that? I have no idea what you're doing now. What have you done since you made
Brian,
game?
Brian, I was telling Brian, you told me a story. You beat Tiger Woods at golf.
Yeah, is that real?
Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
For money?
When I was Tiger is a year and a half younger than I am, so um,
Ah,
but he was like in golf circles. He had been world famous since he was like 3 or something. He was on That's Incredible, like so he had been offered a full scholarship to Stanford when he was 12. Like so, he was 15, I was 16, but I was a junior and he was a freshman. So we were playing on his home course, which was like kind of more tight, and narrow, and like and for some reason my putter just went crazy that day. So despite the fact I was
Surgeon.
down, what's that?
You're like a fucking surgeon, just carving them up.
Like an app, I like brain like 30 foot or a
he,
20
he
footer.
still has nightmares of you.
Yes.
So we go out and he's up by 3 right away. Then I make a birdie. He's up 2. Then like on the 7th hole he bogeys, I par. 8th hole I drain like a 16 footer or something for par. He misses like a 5 footer for par. So now we're tied. So we're walking up to the last hole, and he looks at me to intimidate me, and he goes, "Hey, who wins this hole wins." The thing is, like, I was down 3 after 1 hole. Like, you're not gonna like the momentum's gone the other way. So I would look right back in his eyes, and I said, "Yeah, it does." So anyway, we both drive the same place, and also we have the same. He like got way bigger and way buffer, but when we were in high school, we had like the exact same frame. Like I have a super long monkey arms, thin, same frame, same body. So anyway, both hit it like same distance, kind of. Both hit it onto the green. Both have like 22 feet for birdie. So my team, and normally in high school golf, you go off like the best players first, but because the coaches wanted to watch, they had the best players go last, so they could watch Tiger. So my teammates are all up there, and they go, "What is Tiger?" And I is 1 over. And I go, "What are you?" And I go, "1 over." And they're like, "Oh." So we both hit our putts. I miss my putt at like 2 feet, tap it in. He hits his putt, it like rims out, and he's got like 3.5 feet, maybe 4 feet left. He gets over, hits it, and rimmed out again. And so in high school golf or all golf, you have to like sign your the scorecard of your opponents, you know. So I have signed scorecard, how you live, da da da. So I beat him. So that's cool. Next time we go play up my home course, not tight, not really windy, very wide open, very straight. So first guy tees off 230. Next guy tees off 240. I get up there. Oh yeah. 265 straight. Yeah, take that, boys. Then he gets up there and he whack, and it made a sound. I was like, I have never heard that sound in my life. Like,
Oh no.
and it is flying. And I'm like, oh my God, that's gonna land like around my ball. It lands about 20 yards past my ball. He rolls out to 330. He walks past me to his ball, drops his clubs, turns around and stares at me as I'm hitting my next shot. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be interesting. Shoots 3 under. I shot like 4 over or something. Just destroyed me the second time.
Why didn't you just go right for him?
Do you think he kept the sign Brian Hacker?
Hit him. I wasn't even good enough to hit him.
Right for him, man.
So I have one more funny story, which is a year later. She's a sophomore. I'm a senior, and for some reason, I was getting lunch with my mom and sister, and we're in line. And my sister is 6 years younger than I am. So we're in line, and Tiger is like 5-6 people ahead of us in line at like the Wendy's. So I go to my sister, and I had completely forgotten the story. She reminded me of this story like 25 years later. Go to my sister, I go like, "Hey, Carrie, you see that guy right there? You got to go over and you got to flirt with him. He is going to be rich. He is going to be famous. He's going to be a great husband." So my sister's like, "Shut up, Ryan, shut up." So then, of course, like it's like 25 years later, it's like, all the affairs and stuff comes out. She goes, "Oh yeah, see how good your advice is, big brother."
She still would have had a couple $100 million though, right?
That is true.
That's not a
That is
bad
true.
job. I mean, I wouldn't take it.
Not.
I would.
Yeah.
You wouldn't take it at this point? You don't. Yeah.
Being Tiger Woods' wife for a couple years.
It sounds really confusing for you, but
I wouldn't take that.
interesting. It's like life experience.
Yeah, it would be an experience.
You'd be better at golf, probably.
Tiger, on the other hand, is thinking like, where do I sign up?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm curious.
Sex with all the other girls, so you don't even have to deal with them very much. It doesn't seem like there was much requirement for that.
Absolutely.
Get paid.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just stopped by to say hi because I haven't seen you in a long ass time. Where are you living?
I know, brother. I'm at New York City.
New York City. All right.
You ever out this way?
Recently I've been just so crazy busy with a bunch of stuff. So in a couple years I might get unbusy and then I'll head out that way. Couple years.
It's a top
That's
secret.
Cool. That's how long you need to make an appointment with staff. Kind of like pick, so like 2029, I can get a coffee with you.
You remember about a year ago, you accidentally sent me a text?
Yes.
He did. It was complete non sequitur. And and then
Have you answered it yet? Is this the time?
Yeah. You don't even remember, do you?
No, I don't. I really did send you a text.
Yeah. It just here. I'll read it to you. If I can find it.
I didn't expect this level of realism. I actually had to ask Scap 2 years ago to have him on yesterday.
Oh, I think I was running smack. No, this wasn't. This was a real one.
You said rereading our last messages. How did ignoring my advice about normies go? If you're wondering how kind of individual I am, now you know.
See, you just talk smack about playing games. No, I talk smack about designing games too. That's how big an asshole
I know, but then I read like our last 10 million texts. You don't talk about normies. What are you fucking talking? What the fuck is that conversation? You had like some conversation you had.
You need to clarify yourself.
I don't know, drunk with me in 1997 or some shit. Did you recall? That wasn't in our texts.
Like 6 texts before that. I think I fundamentally don't like some of the choices you made with the game. Have you tested with normies much? Literally 6 texts out.
That just seems honest. Yeah, that seems straight.
What are you talking about? It's all the stuff up here is
6 of my texts out. Like 20 texts out.
Maybe he has different texts in there.
Text from like
December 19th, 2017.
2017. 7 years later, he just busts out. And we've had like 2 text conversations before that about like skateboarding. He's just like, man, you remember that one thing I texted you about 3 conversations in 8 years before? Now I'm going to talk about that.
I feel like we've learned how Brian Hacker's brain works.
You were
This is got uncomfortable, boys. It's getting a little personal here. I am a little revealing.
I mean, he just wanted to say hi.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I was mad because that was the first time I had heard about how your game did and everything. And then when I was like, "What have I told you, Scaff? How did you not fix this?" I was mad. I was mad at you, Scaff.
The basketball
game?
game?
No, I'm talking about the game you made for Valve.
Oh, Artifact.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, we did test with normies, like a ton. Yeah.
There is
Friends-
no way you did that shit with normies.
No,
And they were like,
so the normies
Were they Seattle normies? Because Seattle's not
no. The
normally a
normies
smart
were
place.
friends and family of people, and then also the artists, which were not gamers. So like that game was really interesting. So for like people that were not hardcore gamers, they liked it. People that were super hardcore gamers, except for Brian, I mean the good hardcore gamers liked it. And then the people in the middle, the tryhards, those were the ones that didn't like it. I mean,
Yikes.
kind of. I mean, sort of. Yeah. Anyway, no, Brian, you were one of the few people out of that group of Magic players we brought in that didn't like it. There were a lot of other people that didn't like it. I mean, obviously, but no, we had really positive feedback from the top and the
yeah, no,
bottom.
I think it was the only one. I think it was the only one of that group that.
You're the only one in that group, but there were a bunch of people at Valve that didn't like it. But when the broader we tested with people, like we did this play test, and there's like one or two guys sort of famously online complain. They're like, "Oh, I said it was bad and all this kind of stuff, and they didn't listen to me." And like, I mean, there were like 100 people or 200 people, and there were like 2 or 3 people that were, said it was bad, and a lot of people said it was good. So it's like, yes, got it. There were, this is aside from you. So yeah. I mean, I think the big thing was our number one complaint was that it was too random, which was really interesting because when you run the ELO on that, like the spread was fucking colossal, and you never complained about that, right? You thought it was too complicated.
No, I didn't complain about that, but I didn't like what was skill testing about it.
Yeah, no,
it was just the particular we don't have to get into this here, but
no, but it is interesting that the number one complaint was like provably wrong. And then other people were like, oh, you only had that spread because some people had access to the game earlier. But actually it was a lot of Chinese people who had never seen the game before were at the top of the ratings, because they're smarter than we are or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. So totally think all customer complaints are valid, right? They're complaining about something that's a legitimate, 100% legitimate feeling they had. They were not correct that it was too random, but they were certainly correct in that their experience was it felt too random.
It's always a weird thing when you play test or you focus group because you can get stuff where it's like meaningful but not in the way that people think it is. Like they'll say this is what I think, but you're like you're actually not really objecting to what you think you're objecting to. You're objecting to this other thing up here, and like.
Right. So you just have to be really careful and a lot of people will take customer complaints and be like, either ignore them or take them at face value. And that's kind of like, as a professional game designer, you're supposed to do neither of those two things, right? You're supposed to take the complaint as totally legitimate and figure out maybe their complaint is exactly what they say, but maybe it's something more subtle going on. So anyway.
Do you guys have any good Andy Wolf stories?
I don't even know. Who is that?
Magic Pro player, and he did journalism stuff too, right?
And he was in the top 8 multiple times. He was during your cohort. He was from Atlanta.
What's his name?
Andy Wolf. He worked at Upper Deck.
Andy Wolf. I heard a different name. No, I know Andy. Yeah. Sorry,
I'm talking with him tomorrow in person, and so if there are any questions you would like to ask, to see
questions I would like to ask Andy Wolf.
Yeah, why not?
Yes, because I haven't talked with him in 20 years, and I won't hear the answer.
That's true.
Are those two good enough reasons for?
Well, I need questions that are interesting. How about that?
All right.
I won't have any trouble coming up with my own questions. But if you had any specific memories, like you stayed at an invitational together in the same room and happened to talk about the future of all things.
I was telling Brian about that night that you were there in Brazil, and because Zila didn't show up, so there was an extra bed, so you stayed with me. You remember this? This is how we met?
I remember that. Did I really?
Yeah, you stayed with me, and so it was funny because I we kind of knew who each other were, but we'd never met or talked. And so then the first night we stayed up till like really late, like 5 or 6 in the morning. You were like, "Don't you have to play tomorrow?" But I was just enjoying my, like I was giving you all the gossip about all the players that you didn't know, and you're giving me all the gossip about all the watching people that I didn't know.
Oh yeah.
It
I
was
mean, in
great.
those days, there was a lot of juicy gossips too.
Oh
Holy shit.
yeah, oh yeah.
Oh
I
my
still
god.
remember some to this day. So
Yeah.
I was loving it. Just back and
I
we
mean,
were
you were
playing.
part of some of them, right?
No, that would happen a little later.
This is a G-rated podcast.
Oh, you got the wrong colors on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Putting Scapni on is dangerous.
It is not a rated podcast. I learned that I have the fourth best bedtime D&D story podcast. It's not about D&D. I get these weird messages from computers that tell me how well I'm doing in the universe.
And then they just lie. Oh, you have a D&D bedtime podcast?
Yeah, they just say, "Hey, work with us." They want you to give them money for something. For growing your podcast. That's for the people that it's obviously for. That doesn't need to grow beyond that.
Yeah. I got to take off soon, but you'll find this funny, perhaps, Brian. So before on the last podcast, we were talking about William Jockish. I don't know if you remember him, and his and then Ukraine, people talking about the Ukraine, and I'm like, oh, don't get me started on the Ukraine. I'm like, no, I don't really want to talk about that. But that was early on in the podcast. And then the clip that freaking Substack pulls out is me going like this saying, don't get me started in the Ukraine. It's like my face, and that's the title. That's the title of the automated, like, let's talk about the podcast.
We can go with it if you'd like. Like,
No.
they gave us 3 options. One was, don't get me canceled. You saying what I want to say about Ukraine will get me canceled. That was
is that what
verbatim.
Yeah. They want to see the UK, and it would. Well, that's fine. But like, hilarious that it picked that out.
That's amazing.
Do you want to give Brian your hypothetical question before you go?
Sure. All right. What time is it? Unfortunately, I have almost no time. Man, I do want to hear what he says, though. So, it's going to spread around, right? Eventually, people will have proper answers to it. He probably watched yesterday's because,
It's not out yet.
he's so curious about me that he probably watched 3 hours of our podcast. So aliens come down. You're president of the United States. Don't ask me how you got there, but evidently anyone can get there. So aliens come down and they say, have a meeting of the UN. All the leaders come together. They say, we will give you the cure to cancer and the secret to this fusion technology. You can duplicate it. It's going to lower all your energy costs by about 75%. Pretty good. Like, that's a revolutionary for humans. And what we ask in return for is, I forget the exact number. Let's just say 100,000 metric tons. I probably didn't look it up right, but say a quarter of all the world's gold. That's all they want, is a quarter of all the world's gold, and they will give you those 2 things. And then you say,
yes,
that's why you shouldn't be president.
or why I should be president. What? That seems like a good deal. What?
Yeah.
Why would?
Because you don't know what the gold's worth.
I know
it's worth. So they've traveled, right? You know what it's worth to you.
For gold,
you know what it's worth to you. You know what it's worth to you, but you don't know what it's worth, Matt. You don't know what it's worth. They have faster than they travel. Why don't you ask for that?
Doesn't matter. They know.
It does matter.
No, this is what's known, right? Monopoly, but also monopsony, right? I can only sell to this guy.
Why? You don't know that. You don't know that you can only sell to that guy.
You didn't say there's other aliens visiting Earth.
You don't know if there's other aliens or not. All you know is one alien showed up. You think it's the only alien.
What are you doing? Say no and hope another one shows up? That I can squeeze out more with this
let me hear a second off.
Gold that I don't know.
They have at least, at a minimum, they have one other thing that you really, really, really want. Faster than light travel.
What's that?
Faster than light travel.
Well, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe they don't.
Oh, dude, come on. You can't like you have no idea. Like
you
maybe
negotiate. You just said yes or no. Like if I was negotiating, sure,
and it's
but
no, and then let me hear your next offer.
no.
You just take the first offer, just whatever it is. You just take the first offer.
No. I was trying to answer the parameters of your question. Yes or no. I thought that's what you
Parameters of
said.
my
That's
question.
where I landed
President
yesterday.
of
I
the
was like,
United
wait a
States.
Yes
minute.
or no. It's an obvious yes. Now, if it's a negotiation, that's different. So really, you just asked the question really
It's
poorly,
all
Scout,
right.
and then you're trying to put it on me.
Always. It's
I don't think that's a good
always-
look.
It's always a negotiation. It's always a negotiation. Always.
I mean, these might be, these aliens. They might be
What
tough,
do you
man. They
think
might be like,
the Indians that sold Manhattan for the beads and blankets? That's you. That's you. You're
We've
like,
been
that's a
friends
good
for
deal. I don't care.
quite a
Like
long
land,
time.
dude, I can walk wherever I want. There's so much land, but these are beads. Look how shiny these fucking beads are, man. These are beads and blankets right now, today in my hand. I don't need to hear a second offer. I'm taking the beads and blankets. That's
you can explain to all the people dying of cancer. We'll put you on the tour. Hey, Scaff, why is my grandfather dying of cancer? Why is my brother dying of cancer?
Yeah,
well,
Because the Dow is
I'll
over
get him.
50,000.
I'll get him cured of cancer. Plus,
aliens are like, you guys are fucking pain in the ass. We're taking off. Like, yeah, I don't know why we signed Scaff as the lead
they
negotiator.
flew
but
all the way to make you that offer.
only several hundred million people
Hey,
die.
listen, if they were altruistic, they would just give it to you. They wouldn't ask for the gold. If they could take the gold, they'd just take the gold. Why? You got to ask why, man. Open. You know what? Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. This is what makes the capitalist elite control the world. People just saying yes. All right, I got to go. See you guys later.
Take care, brother.
Have fun.
Nice to see you.
I can
Good to
figure
see
out
you.
how to leave. There we go.
And that was Scaphalias. Sorry
What?
for nothing. He wanted to say hi. I talked to him yesterday, and he was like, "There's some people I would really like to see," and you were on the list. I shared a list with 20 names, and you were on the smaller list. People that you wanted to see. So take that as a compliment.
Always good to see Scaff.
Yeah, it's really like cool to see. Most of the personalities haven't changed very much. I think Randy is the most interesting because he's not as competitive seeming as he seemed 30 years ago or 25 years ago. Like that one's interesting. I think Justin Gary has changed a little bit from like what he was about 25 years ago, but a lot of personalities are similar, right? Matt Place is definitely Matt Place. I'll be interested to see how Devin Lowe has changed over the last 20 years. I haven't talked to him in a long time. Yeah. What are you up to now? I have no idea what happened to you after all these game endeavors.
Oh yeah. So then I did a few businesses. At one point I was selling like 1% of all North American Lenovo's through some random thing that's not particularly interesting. And then I opened up 2 escape rooms, which would have been great, but then COVID hit. And I did some stuff in crypto, and then I was also part of a crypto game, but it was the person who was the CEO had never really started a company or been working in a company before, so she didn't really have the best leadership. So I ended up bowing out of that. And then for a while now, also played poker kind of the whole time too. Kind of always like part-time hours, but that paid a lot of bills. And then recently I have a wine app that I'm about to come out of stealth on. So I'm going to have to raise money for that pretty soon. So
we should talk about that offline. I have one of my friends who was a Magic player was the co-founder of a wine app, a wine social network. And so he seems like an ideal person to put you in contact with.
Yeah.
He was on the founding team of Electable, if you've ever heard of that.
Did he sell to Vivino? Did he exit?
I think that you should talk to him about that.
Okay.
Because
I
I don't.
that did, and I can't remember which one it was. So Yeah.
It might have been that one. It didn't sound fun the way that went. So, but he is an awesome game designer, Magic Pro. Has made a bunch of board games, worked on a bunch of mobile games, very AI literate, and also happened to be the founding UX design or design lead on a wine app. So, like, an ideal partner for you to get information from. And I'm
Yeah.
sure they would be very happy to talk to you in depth.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. If you get information.
Yeah, the CMU connection continues. Well, that's really interesting. You have given me food for thought for future days, uh, which is good. Which is good. All right. My brain has planted that seed for myself. And we'll talk about what you're doing. I guess one question I had for you is, are you a spy? I had this thought when you were talking to Scap. I was like, wait, if it was 1960 or 1860, what would Brian Hacker be doing? Like if you had grown up in different windows, who would you be? Because
No,
I
no,
certainly
I
see
would
you.
be a terrible spy.
Okay.
I'm not good at I'm actually not good at like networking. Very bad
Hmm.
at networking.
Hmm.
And I I am good, I suppose, at like hiding information. So in that sense, I'd be a very good spy. It's like I was like having one in the chamber, but no, I don't know what I would have done in another era. I have no idea. It's hard to really imagine.
I guess so. I think very highly of you. So I have you in like Grant's army. I have no idea. Some
No,
like
I
role where you're
yeah,
playing the game and like helping him win. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I think I played Magic differently than most people did. Um, and that was part. Like I remember thinking that like it's not always like thinking smarter or more logical, more analytical than other people. It's thinking different because if in Magic, like especially in limited, if everyone's trying to do the same thing, if you just are trying to do something else and you just have a different paradigm, sometimes like that will serve you well because you're you're not in competition in the same way. Uh, and it's a similar thing even with like game design. It's more like my brain can think in a way that other people can't. So I don't think like I don't I don't have to be as smart as other people or whatever or to like succeed. It's like I can do it my own way. Um and so sometimes I think like people like that, I think sometimes got and I'm not necessarily saying talking about myself, but like get underrated. Like who is the guy the from Northern Europe that won two? He was the first person to win two pro tours and
Is it Therin or Hopi? I don't like who won two pro tours. Jens Therin won. He was a world champion at some point. I'm not sure.
um can't remember his name, but he was somebody that he was a bit like a Darwin Castle where people I think sometimes like thought he wasn't as good as he was because like he would like just he just play differently, he just had a different paradigm. So like
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then like and so sometimes I think sometimes you can succeed like that and it's different. Like uh
I think you'd
like I
want
remember
your
Kai.
teams like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I remember Kai one time I was playing in a draft pool with him. He actually did very poorly in that draft pool, but what was funny was that it was like we're open face drafting, and like he was just taking like weird stuff. I was like, what is he doing? Like he was trying to play. I can't remember the format. He was playing like some very defensive, like white based, and no one was fighting for any of the cards. And I was wondering, like, is this going to be good? Like, this doesn't seem like it would be good. I think probably like his skill that way served him in other drafts. It just happened to be like that one. It just like didn't work at all, and he did badly. But nevertheless, it was like when you see that, or like Hammer or something, where they just like, okay, this is the paradigm, and it's different from the way other people think. Like, you can do okay.
Yeah, I find that we talk about this a bunch. Like I think Matt Place talked about it with his team, how he has like a team that's like everyone's smarter than him in different ways. So they're all listening to each other and just trying to make the product better. Like Wizards had more of like you had to feel like you had to be the smartest person at all times. It was like being in like a PhD department, which has its pros and cons. But like even with CMU, if like Randy's not there, like Eric and Mike never make it to where they are, probably, at least not in the same way, because Randy was like played like the captain role, which helped give structure to Mike, who was more junior, and Eric, who was less structured, and like that like ended up being a triad. And when you talk about the dickhead team, um, that's your own version of it. So you're trying to find these parts that complement each other in like this way. And so you're best as part of a unit, probably, which is true of me too, and probably true of most
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Which makes the current climate of like, hey, well, people will just do all of it themselves with AI. It seems like incredibly stupid to me, unless they're making SaaS apps.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
hmm,
Yeah. It was funny
interesting.
because like, with Truck, it was funny because he was more like he was very intuitive. So when he would be drafting, like a lot of times afterward, I'd be like, Truck, why did you do that? And it was almost like that focus group that the staff was talking about, where like he would say something, but it was like it wasn't even it was a bit noisy. It was like he couldn't even really know why. He just intuitively was like, that's better than that. I can't, and he'd give a reason, but it was like, it doesn't, that's not really a reason. And so a lot of what I would start to do is I'd have to try to reverse engineer why Trick's drafting style would work. And then I would kind of figure it out almost for us. So it was first like Truck would just like come down from the mountain and be like, draft this. And then I'd be like, why? And they're like, oh, it's because of this, and this, or the environment. And then like I could then piece together some stuff based off that. And then like Sean would kind of download it. And Sean's like very like if he like understands what he's supposed to be doing, he can like execute, 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 execute. He can play like a really, really high level. So it worked well for the three of us.
What did Truck end up doing? I know Igor went and worked with Fakula in the finance world. I know John worked in the games world because he and I worked on teams together a couple times. Like, I didn't have no idea what happened to where
He
does
still has the
Truck
same
boy.
job that he had like back when he was like he works for UCLA as like part of their fundraising team, I think.
That's also not
So
true.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, he's been in the same job like forever. So
That's cool and seemingly impossible. But Mike Turian has done it, and
yeah.
Aaron Forsythe has done it, so it must be possible. I can't imagine it. What's your what's your casting cost? Have you ever costed yourself? What do you do in Magic as a card?
If I were Magic Card,
Hmm.
I have no idea. I've never thought about that before.
Like what color makes a wine app? It sounds very green to me.
Yeah, probably be like a like a bird of paradise, but it like cost more and like had a bit of an attack to it. So like it'd probably be like 2 and a green, 3/1 flyer, tap, generate any mana, something like that. That would be
I I have this weird like vision of a card game that is, you remember like the, I don't remember what, you could touch like fabric and it would change color in like the 80s or 90s, and that was really popular. Like have a card game that's based on like how much wine you've had, and it like essentially gains ability. It's a terrible idea, but I love it. Just like drunkenness the game. Just
yeah,
the colors change. If we were allowed to be adults,
yeah,
I don't think adults are legal anymore. um,
yeah.
what's your favorite epoch, or epoch, as Alex Schwartzman taught me, in Magic? Like when you were playing, what was your time?
Um, hmm.
If you were trapped in a universe and only could play with one set of human beings and cards,
Uh, boy, that's tough. What was the one where it had the main card from it was I think it was you paid 2 and then like you revealed a card or like you named a card and then like if you revealed it you didn't do damage to anything. Getting
Storm?
that right.
No, it's not
Getting it right.
Stormbind. But, oh, Curse Scroll, yeah,
Chris Scroll. Yeah. Which set was that in Chris Scroll?
Tempest.
Tempest. Yeah, that set I really enjoyed drafting in that one. And that was another one where I whiffed the top 8 in the last round against the guy that then got kicked out for cheating. And what was really weird was when the match was over, I noticed that his cards were different directions. And I asked the judge, "Oh, can you just check his deck really quick to see because like his cards are different directions?" And he like looked through it and he's like, "No, it's fine." I'm like, okay, oh, I lost. And then like 2 rounds later, it's like got kicked off the same thing. So I was like, "Oh, I guess probably wasn't right." Anyway, but that set I really liked because that I used to draft something in that no one else drafted, and um so that was fun because I like to draft this like almost like milling you kind of deck. It was like the card that was like two in a blue and it made all your creatures cost two more to attack.
Mm.
And I could like just lock everything up between that and then like just mill you to death. And so like or get some other advantage and win. And no one would ever take the cards that I needed for that. So like I liked sets where like I took stuff that no one else took. Those were like really, really fun because you could like almost like know like, oh, like there'd be when we were drafting, like that card would appear and I'd be like seventh. And I know like nobody's gonna take that card. No one's even thinking about it, but I would like love kick stuff like that. So like so it's fun when you're able to like know what you want to do ahead of time and like it's like a secret world that other people aren't in.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if like this is a game design question, but also a Brian Hacker question. If Magic went open source and like you could essentially print your own set, like what would you do with it? You know what I mean? Like that is a world that could exist at some point in our lifetime where it's if Magic, well, I don't know that it will, but like it's an interesting one where I think it is something someone could do. Like what would you do if you made your own Magic set? What would you do to even make it stand out versus everything that's out there?
Um,
Design your version of Magic.
yeah, it wouldn't be for me because I just those beats like I've done them so I did them so much that like I got sick of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So it wouldn't be what I would do. But I think the thought experiment is that you could imagine like there's just lots of different like um play patterns that you could have where you could have like just extremely weak cards in your pool or something, like reverse cube, it's like
It's
all shit.
backdraft all day.
Yeah, yeah, like
The
like
salvia of Magic expansions. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You have to like play off of that, and then you could see like, okay, what happens like when you've got this, like what is it like? It's weird because actually there probably was actually it's rare that I think in Magic that there was actually a set where the cards are too weak for limit, and that was probably only like
Like Alpha.
some of this very
Yeah.
early one with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Alpha was like pretty weird.
Yeah,
Like, but you had to play like a 3/5 and pray that would get you through a lot of the time.
yeah, yeah.
Iron,
So like,
Iron
yeah, you
Cloak.
right. But if you I don't know, if you somehow like or you could have, yeah, I don't know. There'd be like I'm sure there'd be people like that would just want to play in like an environment that's like just a much more narrowed out part of it. But I'm sort of the wrong guy. It's like I haven't not kept up with the last 20 plus years or so of Magic.
I'm also the wrong guy in that. No, I think a lot of us like are not Mike Flores. Mike Flores has kept up with all of it. Ben Sek has played every set and continues to travel to play every set, and it's awesome. But it's I think that's rare. I think it's quite rare that people have like kept up with it the whole time. I got back in because Lan invited me to play on a team tournament, so I played with him and my brother Justin, and it was the hardest experience because they both yelled at each other the whole time. And so I had to like yell even louder to make sure that they would behave sufficiently that we wouldn't get thrown out of the event. And but it was fun. We played like 3 of these team tournaments and it was still fun to do, but it was yeah, now that I have a family, it's not happening. But I am going to MagicCon in
Uh,
May with my dad
yeah,
and my daughter.
yeah. There was one the one coda I had with Magic that was really it was a very like freaky experience that was really cool. Was I was talking to Gabe Sang, who lives in Toronto. This is back when I lived in San Diego. And when poker, I needed to bounce my IP off of somewhere else. So I was like, okay, do you mind if I bring a computer there. I'll just use it as a server to bounce my IP from your house. He's like, yeah, that's fine. So I'm like, when can I come out? He's like, anytime you want. I don't do anything, but I watch basketball, play basketball. I'm like, fucking awesome. This is great. Okay. So like, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna come out this date. He's like, great. So week before I get there, he's like, oh, by the way, I screwed up. My place is still yours. You can still stay there, but I have two friends that are playing. There's randomly a Grand Prix in Toronto that weekend. So they're going to be here and they're going to be staying. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Whatever. Cool. I'm like, do you play anymore? He's like, no. He's like, I have a cube, but I like never play it. I'm like, okay, cool. Fly out. So game hasn't played. I haven't played. Like literally, I haven't played in ages. This is probably like 10 years ago. So I probably haven't played in like 10 years. So, um, so like, we're out, we go eat dinner, and the guys are like, "Oh, Game and Hacker, you guys want a money draft?" It's like, "Sure." These two guys, I can't remember who they were. They were like, they were playing in the Pro Tours, right? So, but I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, I don't care. Let's see how it goes. So we start playing, and Gabe and I are like literally reading every card, like no idea what the hell's going on with this, right? So we play, and then like, but then what's really strange is like Gabe and I, of all the people I ever played with my entire life. I do not know what it was. There's something with Gabe saying, I know what he's doing, and he knows what I'm doing, and we don't know why we know it. It's freaky. I just know what it's really
You're
bizarre.
that race from, or yeah, you're from Ender's Game. You're part of a different species. Talk to each other without talking, right?
It's bizarre because, and I will just like all the drafts we did, I would go, oh my God, I am passing this absurd black thing, but I just think it's going to get through to Gabe. But I'm scared because if it hasn't been, this guy's gonna whoop our ass. And like draft finishes, I'm like, Gabe, do you got? And he's like, yeah, I got it all. And then like this would happen to us all the time. It was just some weird intuitive thing. So anyway, we're playing. Somehow, the same thing's happening. I'm like going, I think I'm passing like all these good red cards. I'm like, but I don't think the guy next to me is playing red. Anyway, draft finishes, boom, Gabe's got all the stuff, right? So he's like, "Is this stuff good?" I'm like, "I thought it was really good." He's like, "Yeah, it's crazy." Like, I don't know. Okay, cool. We play. He's like, "Win." So we're like, so they're like, "Oh, like, okay, I can't believe you guys won. You guys suck." Like, we're like, "Yeah, we suck, but give us your 40 back." So then, like, they're like, "All right, let's play again." I'm like, "Okay." So we play again. We win again. So the next day we go to the tournament. Some people bust out. Different people. Hey, you guys want to play? Yeah, we play. We win. Play again. We win. We go home. We play cube. Lose one, play again, we win. Third day, like no one's playing, so we're like, okay, we're hanging out for a while. And then the guys, like one of them did well, so like they come back, and then they're like, okay, well, we're not doing anything. Let's play. All right, so we play all night. So we play like cube, like two cubes or something. We ended up going 7-1 in these money drafts, and this was like, and it was so weird because I had not had this experience in like 10 years of playing, and then I had not had this experience with Gabe, and so it was so crazy that I could go back and have this experience with Gabe. Just like sight unseen after 10 years, like we could go back and we could just fall right back into the same groove. And actually I'm like, I got a little dusty when I was leaving because I was just like, this is probably the last time I'll ever have this experience. And I was like, just kind of choked up about it because I was like, this is just something I can have with one human being on earth that's like this weird, it's almost like a weird intimacy you get where it's just like I he knows me and I know him and I can't explain it and he can't explain it and but it's just something that can happen and it's like it's really cool.
I think of it as the history of violence. Do you ever see that movie?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, all right, I'm just in a town, and then all of a sudden, oh, I remember I can kill anyone anytime I want to. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a little
There,
like that. You're like, I don't play Magic anymore. I don't even know how it works. And then I go like a month ago, I play with some dads at school, and it's like I have blood all over my mouth.
yeah.
I have vampired them for sure.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
don't remember how powerful you are.
Yeah, yeah. The theme in Unforgiven where it's like the end scene where Clint Eastwood goes back and he used to be like a really bad motherfucker and then like he's kind of like softened out and but it comes out and when it comes out, it doesn't come out in the way of just like, the John Wick style of just he's faster than everybody. It's like people are shooting, but they're scared. So he's always shooting second, but he's shooting calm, right? And killing everybody. And so like, and it's everyone else is rattled, but he's not because he has that experience from a long time ago that gives him the ability to stay calm in the situation. And that means everything.
I think of it as Baron Munchausen going and finding his team across the world and then getting Berthold on the moon. And like, he's like, can I still run as fast as
Yeah.
anything in the
Well,
world? You know?
now you're hitting my, because that is my favorite movie, as you probably know. And,
Correct.
and so, and so,
Same
yeah,
metaphor.
yeah, no, it is. And well, and also in Baron Munchausen, it's about believing in somebody, which to me, that's my deep down ethos is that like the the greatest thing you can do in life with anybody is to believe in somebody and be believed in. And I believe that like a variety of things that we associate with like hooey kind of things that are improbable or that aren't scientifically able to be proven. Like say something like faith healing. Like, do I think faith
Mhm.
healing exists? Most of the time, no. But I do think that like if you take like if you let's say you were dying and every single loved one you knew all over the world just showed up to your house and said, Brian, we're not going to let you die no matter what. And we have the power to cure you. And we are holding hands and we were just going to be here. And you felt it, that you felt like, no, we're all in on this. This is absolutely happening. I think there is a part of us because we're these social animals and also our logical mind is a small fraction of what we're able to do. Right. So at some subconscious level, you I think you find these resources to be able to do things that you can't do otherwise, and that's the story in Baron Munchausen. He achieves the impossible, or him and his team achieves the impossible because of this belief in each other. And I do think that that can exist, and when it does, it's a really beautiful thing.
I think it's when great things happen, especially like every team I've worked on that had this vibe, like got to make a great human product, right? Where I'm certainly playing Magic. You're like, oh, we all know each other perfectly well, and we haven't seen each other in 20 years. Like, what the hell's going on? That's really unique. It's come up a lot. Like in the call yesterday, it was there's this feeling that people have been on their phones a lot instead of interacting with people as much. And so, also the incentive systems have changed. So instead of having like, you're the best you're the best basketball player at school, the best golfer at school, the smartest kid at school, like you're comparing yourself against the world all the time and you can't possibly compete. And so there's this pessimism or lack of belief that you could ever matter. Um, that's pretty dangerous, but kind of the converse of what you're saying. Like finding people at a local level and connecting with them ends up being the most important asset in your life,
Yeah,
regardless of what the internet has for you or says or etc.
yeah, 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 totally. Yeah, and you think of like what are the odds that like George Harrison would have become like this amazing songwriter without being around John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and um and vice versa. Like there's something that just they could do, the four of them, that while they could do also be quite a great in their own ways by themselves, but together it was more than the sum of its parts.
There's a 0% chance.
Yeah.
Like the staff would remember that reference. It's from like early Wizards time, but 0%. Like there is no chance that he succeeds in any similar way without them. And I think there is some question if you're younger today, like how do you find your Beatles or how do you find your Magic cohort? It's different, but like I don't know what you would do. Like what would you do in this time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of weird because like one of the advantages I had was having a team, being in Southern California, being around all these other great players. And then the disadvantage later is once it became more internet based and I wasn't like used to doing that, and it didn't click with me in the same way. Like it was a disadvantage, because like I didn't have those same people that you do need to be able to 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 talk to other people that are thinking on a high level to get to that level. It's kind of one of those weird things too, where it's like until someone shows you that something is possible, it's like the 4 minute mile or something. It's like one person does it, then all of a sudden everyone can do it, and it's a similar thing. I think like you have to know that space is available and occupiable to be able to go into it yourself sometimes, or that's the trailblazing element.
Yeah, I think playing Magic on the internet feels like Garfield without Garfield a little bit, where you're just like the people were the point of playing. Like they're the ones who
Yeah,
brought the meaning to it. The game was a vehicle that allows you to like have meaning, but um, the people were the reason to engage. So, like, removing the people component makes it a reason to lapse, right? If
yeah,
there's no reason
yeah.
to play this thing if you're doing it alone, like, I don't care
Oh
about
yeah,
me. That's the worst. I'm not interesting. Like, the other people are
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and I think that that's the part of Magic that I feel very, very lucky, blessed to have been a part of because um, there probably were not a lot of things that I could have been doing in my 20s that would have given me a community in this day and age. It's hard, right? Even in the 90s,
Hmm.
it's hard. Um, so, like, and in high school, it's like, okay, I was on the basketball team, I was on the golf team, and you get some camaraderie with your guys and stuff, but there you're just picking people that like live next to you that happen to be the same age. But like with Magic, it's like worldwide, and it's people that have chosen this, to dedicate a lot of their time that they could be doing a lot of other things, and money in some cases too, to be able to do it. And then the friendships that grow out of that. And I don't think I really appreciated it weirdly until like Facebook came out. Then I remember just like, I'm like, all my friends are fucking from Magic. Like, this is crazy. Like, and even now there's people I see from time to time. Like I saw Graham Thompson and, very good Scottish player in Scotland, cause I go to Scotland every year. And like, yeah. And it's just like, it's a bond that we all share that is really cool, and it's something, especially now with something physical, that I think is uh, very hard to find for young people now. It's funny too because like I also think, and I might be totally out of line, and that you may be of a completely different political bent, but I've noticed that Magic players I think are much more left wing of like our cohort than like the average Gen X person, and
Oh,
I
for
think
sure there.
and I was thinking that I think it's just because like we all had to be part of a community. And when you are just a part of a community, you just have a lot more empathy for your fellow person, and that like we need to do all these things together. There has to be a shared reality to make this happen. It's not just gonna be me, 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 it's and yeah, and I think that like us all having to go to a physical location and see a person and be in the physical presence with a person, it changes the way you think about things, and it brings us back to something that we had that we that we all went that society at large went away from 100,000 years ago. Where like I wrote this in this thing that I was gonna send to Pat, but it was like a thought I had when I was hanging out with Truck and John or talking to Truck and John actually in a group chat, and I was like, what's really crazy is like I see these guys once a year, twice a year maybe, and then like we separate, but like the type of bond that we have, I feel the bond, and I want to feel that bond more. But because like I live here, they live there, they have kids, I do not, like there's like it just happens when it happens, and we kind of move on. But if we had lived like in the same place 100,000 years ago, and like we would have all been boys together, we would have all been hunters or whatever we were doing as adults, and we were all had our kids, and we were playing with each other's kids, and then we all died around the same time, and it's like that sort of cycle of life is like it's natural, and it's like, and what we have now is totally unnatural. I'm not saying I can't, better, worse, like, it just depends how you fall on these things. But it's definitely more unnatural, right? And I think that's one of the things that we struggle with is like we're so doing this, I'm talking this, it's a fun conversation, but I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the camera, I'm talking to the screen, right? It's kind of weird, right? But like, um, but like we all had that opportunity to have that bond and that camaraderie and that friendship and everything in a physical space, and that's so rare that I certainly took it for granted. I didn't know how special it was until you don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think it was interesting talking to get Justin Gary. He was like, "We're all designing games that try to capture the experiences that we loved um, when we were younger." And in fact, like that makes a lot of sense to me. Trying to figure out how to send like whatever portion of society you can touch, like in a direction like that, seems really good to me. When I was working on the book, it's very 1990s to 2000 kind of feel where it's like analog on purpose, right? It's not, you don't know all the information that's coming. Even on this podcast tomorrow, I'm going to talk to someone who's not related to magic at all. And you're going to be like, what the heck is going on? And I like that because you shouldn't know what's coming around the corner all the time or have like something in your, I mean, it's cool that you have a phone that will get you to Jiffy Lube when you need to go, but um, it removes a lot of the exploration and discovery that makes life actually interesting, especially as a creative person, right?
yeah, 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 for sure, for sure, for sure, definitely, definitely, yeah, 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 and I think and this is another way in which I think that like having the sort of Pro Tour as the flagship, it then trickled down into like the Friday Night Magics and your local tournaments and all these different things that people did. And I think that rub off of playing together, there being a community, is what gives it this lasting power. And that
I
if you pull that
highly agree.
out, and I think that's like a danger, and not in like I've heard. It seems I can't speak on this with any insight or intelligence, because I'm only hearing like literally all this stuff third hand. But it seems as though there's been at least pushes to move away from all this stuff, and like from wizards. And I think they don't necessarily know what they have, and maybe that doesn't kill the golden eggs, but maybe it does. And like it's got to be very careful to know that these things don't all exist in isolation. It's all one big system that kind of reinforces itself. Um, and I hope that there's another generation that can have that experience that we did. I don't really, it would be sad if it's just like all digital or, something like that. It would be a totally different thing.
Yeah, I think there will continue to be epochs. Like right now, there are ginormous live events that kind of, when you went to Origins, like when you're talking about your Pro Tour 3, and you have like the LARPers and like the old timey RPG players who are hostile to Magic players. And then you have like board gamers, and you have all these different cohorts of people that don't mesh. I think after 30 years, Magic figured out, oh, we can take all those parts and direct them to the right places, and they can all coexist in the same place in service of one fandom. And so I think that part exists. It's just different. Like you'll be on like I after I started this project, Facebook started showing me all these groups of Magic things I'd never seen before. And like people will open a pack and share it, and it's you're like, okay, that seems a little easy, but cool. Like you have you can bond with people over that, and so there's more shallow ways to engage with Magic in a way that lets you connect with people, which is both good and bad, right? It does make it harder to find your people, especially if the tournament stuff isn't figured out. But more people can just pay money and belong, which is nice in a way too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good to see you, Mr. Hacker. I feel like I've learned many things that could be interesting down the road. I'm definitely interested in talking to you about
Yeah,
what
for
you're
sure.
currently working on and
Yeah.
maybe some other things too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Good to catch up with you. Yeah.
Likewise, I'm glad you were well. We will speak again. And I'll connect you with my guy to make it
Yeah.
sound more illicit than it is, but it's not. It's just a
Just
business
think.
invitation, introduction.
Cool. Cool. Great.
Um, Good to see you.
Yeah. You
Thanks,
too.
man.
Right. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Take care, brother.
Farewell.
Bye-bye. And
You too.
people watching.
Yeah, and humans.
All
See you, boss.
right. Take care, bud.